All right, we're back with another edition of Smart Mark Video's Best on the Indies. Today we're with the Cambodian axe murderer, Joker. Joker, thanks for joining us.
Hey, no problem.
Okay, Joker, so we'll start off like we start with everybody. Talk about how you started, I guess, in the business and training and just, I guess, getting started.
Um, well, I didn't start watching wrestling until probably when I was in grade school, around my eighth grade. And reason being is like I started watching when it was like the Monday Night Wars and Stone Cold and seeing him giving people the bird, saying ass and everything was so different to me, and it just really caught my attention. And from then I remember watching WCW and watching the NWO, and during recess we'd go out and I DDT the shit out of some kids and sand pit and stuff. And after that I just slowly watched ECW, like someone just pretty much introduced me to it, and then I just got hooked, and that's all I wanted to be, was a pro wrestler for ECW in the 8th grade. That's what I wrote down as what I wanted to do. And, I played sports then, and remember practicing at a field in Port Richmond. It was, called Sion, out on Aramingo and Lehigh. And, we'd have baseball practice or track practice, whatever season it was, and remember hearing, people bumping. At the time, of course, I didn't know it was people bumping, but I remember hearing people, just loud noise. And in the summer or around the springtime, when it was a little, the weather was a little hot, they would raise one of the garage doors and you'd see a wrestling ring. So then I knew, I was like, oh man, they actually, do wrestling in there. So, after I was done middle school and that summer, I wanted to go and train at this gym. So I remember asking a question during baseball season, and they said I had to be at least, 18 years of age to train there. And if I was 16, I had to be parental consent. So me and my best friend at the time, and he was 19 years old, and I was 15, and we basically came up with this grand scheme of him being my cousin and, lying that I was 16 years old and, that my parents were okay with it. And so they, took us in. I remember you walk in, there's like a weight room, big mirrors, and then the door to the right, you'd have the ring, a little sit-down area, and then cars that had to be worked on the other side. And it's just like, a grimy, dirty place, but I, just loved it. Like, I remember, training there in the beginning, doing like, thousands of Hindus, bumps, and it was like, I thought wrestling was real. So, training there, I was there every day throughout the summer, Monday through Friday, Saturday's the only day you didn't have that was open, and then you'd be there Sunday and train. So I was there at least 6 days a week, and that's all that I just had to drive to train. Then, finally I realized it was all a work. I was like, oh, fuck, what do I do? Do I want to still do it or what? So then, I stuck it out a little bit, ended up getting a whole different trainer. His name was Tony Nitro. At one point or another, him and his tag partner went to WCW's power plant. They had a big tryout, and they were just touring with them. Got all jacked up and shit, came back, and then started training me and just a select few. And their method of training was, it was straight brutality. It was just for us to get ready for what could possibly happen. And at the time, I was so small. I was like maybe 135 pounds. And, they took it out on me a lot. Like, I was just getting my ass kicked. And I remember I was taught, humility. There was one training session. There was everyone there. And this company also runs shows. So every Wednesday prior to a show, they'd have their, booking meeting or whatnot and talk about what's going to happen. And the beefs they had back then. At the time, GWA closed and they had, heat with GWA or whatever. So it was, a Wednesday night, everyone was there and we're working out, and I started, learning how to call matches or whatnot. And I only had a limited arsenal. I was only taught, the basics at that moment. I remember going in there with Nitro and just getting the shit beat out of me. It was like my introduction to, stiff wrestling, which was like a no-no to the owners of this gym. amidst of just getting my fucking bell rung and everything, I wasn't allowed to tag out. Like, they just kept me in and just trying all sorts of shit on me. And then it then escalated to them stripping me pretty much ass naked in the middle of the ring. You know. And I don't know if it's just another sick way of just seeing if I still had the desire to come back or if I wanted to continue on. And, by surprise, I showed up the next day, wanted to train more. And, there's a lot of great things I've learned, at this place. And it was just, the starting ground was just a proving ground of, how much I wanted to be a pro wrestler. And, everyone, started out somewhere, better, somewhere, less appealing, but, at least it was somewhere. And I thought I was at least making, the right, decisions at the time. But I know there's another guy that was there. They called him Aspirin. I guess every gym or dojo has an Aspirin, the guy that gives them a fucking headache. And he was like an outcast because he was all into the Japanese style of wrestling. Big into, New Japan Juniors. And he introduced me to, Jushin Thunder Liger. And he let me borrow, a tape, and it was Liger and Pillman. It was their first match. And right then I was just drawn to it. So I was like, oh, man, look. It's like, this guy who's not all, huge and your typical pro wrestler, smaller guy. And these guys are just flying around and just, fucking doing all sorts of cool moves. And, I just, from then on, I was just a huge, still today, a big Liger fan. And then I really just start paying attention more to, New Japan, All Japan, death matches for, Big Japan. And it just opened, the door to me of all the possibilities and just different, just styles of wrestling and, other wrestling besides, WWF at the time and WCW and ECW.
All right, and at some point, you become interested in CZW and you try to get in there. How did you find out about CZW?
Well, at the gym that I was training at, they did ring rentals, and I think we did a ring around for a combat zone. I didn't know what we were doing at the time. I remember, part of paying my dues was I was part of the ring crew, and we'd go, Saturday, get the ring, take it to the venue, set it up, stay there for the whole show, take it down, take it home, and that was it. And then I would train, that Sunday morning. It was for that indoor soccer arena in, was it Sewell?
Yeah,
Sewell.
Champs.
Sewell. And I think it was the night of the main events. It was that show. And that's when I first saw CZW. I remember sitting there. I remember John at the time fucking had was all jacked, had a little fleece fucking zip up. And, just it was just so different. And then I didn't know that, wrestling, like that could be incorporated into wrestling. Like that much, abuse, blood. I mean, everything. It was like I saw glass for the first time being used, like, extensive things of barbed wire. But I remember prior to that, when I used to go to these NWA shows in Jersey. I forgot where in Jersey, where you had Dave Mysterio Jr. was like one of their fucking primetime junior guys, and and a lot of the guys at the gym that I trained at worked there. So I remember seeing there was a vendor, and I remember seeing tapes being sold and photos of CCW in their first Cage of Death. And then I was just more intrigued by it. And then when we finally did my first going to my first show for Combat Zone was at the night of main events, and just I remember the one match that really stood out to me was Justice Pain and Gage. I mean, they had the chair ride at the end, the fucking brain buster off the top to the outside through a table. I mean, it was just a brutal, entertaining match. And then we did, I think we might have done another one for them, but I went to another show, and it was at the textile school in Roxborough. And that's when I watched Low Key wrestle in a tag match with, who is it, Mercury, who was one of the guys that trained me, and he's working for Combat Zone at the time, Rick Blade, and I'm trying to think of who the next guy is. I remember low key flipping the fuck up because of something happening.
A ladder spot or something, right? Somebody didn't hold the ladder
Either he
for him.
took the ladder went wrong, or he took a leg drop and it fucking hurt him. But I remember him flipping the fuck out. So, but I mean, those are the times I remember Combat Zone. I remember training at their gym one Sunday, and you know, at the time you can go to other gyms. You pay like a $5 fee for a ring rental that day, you know, to work out. I remember going there with, you know, my one trainer at the time. His name was Joe. You know, when he was, you know, worked the Indies at the time, he was, you know, named Mr. Arrogance. And he was also, believe it or not, one of the ugly babies in PWs, the black guy. Great fucking wrestler. Reminds me a lot about Demon Licker. Taught me a lot of, you know, cool technical things. But at the time, I was just a kid and didn't want to learn it, you know. But I was with him, and he knew where all the gyms were. And I was with one of the other guys I was training with. I remember going to the Combat Zone gym, which was at the Combat Zone arena at, what was it, Matua?
Oh, Mantua, yeah.
Yeah, and Matua. And John was there, Rick Blade was there, fucking Diablos. And they had 2 rings at the time. I remember we were working out at one, and John watched us. And, you know, me and Black G's would just, you know, kind of had a joke where John would sit there, have this mug of fucking coffee in his hand and his fleece and his baseball cap. And that's how it was. And that's how he was, you know, the time I finally, you know, met him formally. And, you know, he just watched us work out or whatever. And I was still so fucking green at the time. And I was just, you know, happy just being there to train. And I didn't, at that moment, I didn't have any desire to work for the company. Like, I just, you know, wanted to just work, period. And I was just there to train anyway. And then from there, you know, we went to another gym that same day, went to the WWC gym in Vineland. And then I, you know, trained there for that one day. But it was just to see, you know, I guess through my trainer's eyes where I was at with other people. And that, I mean, that was my early, you know, involvement with CZW.
So you were kind of training and John looking on. How long did it take for you to actually get your first match in CZW?
Well, it was the same situation again. Like I've worked for, you know, like I remember when my gym, the Hawkins school, closed, and we had to find another gym. It was me and Black G's. Like, we basically came up in the business together. Like, he was a guy that worked, like, I've been training, like, in this gym for fucking years prior to even doing a show. One, because of the age issue. In PA, you had to be 18 years old. So I was in the gym for so long, and I was at a point where I could do shows, but because of my age. Nell, on the other hand, was already doing shows. He was working for Damon Feldman for those shows that they would hold at, you know, the nightclub, whatever nightclub it was called. I know right now it's what, Chrome or the Roxy now, but back then it was called something else. They would come on Sundays, and, you know, we would train. So when our gym closed, we had to find another gym in Soul City. You know, Hard Rock Hamilton's gym was the closest, and we go there. One thing about Hard Rock Hamilton, the dude is he discriminates little guys. Like, he's so big on marking out for himself. Like, I train with fucking Alpha, you know, and he has all these pictures up on the wall of him and Alpha and stuff, and him just sitting there. Basically, like, these pictures of these meetings they would hold, like training session meetings or whatever. And then a big-ass fucking self-portrait of him looking like a fucking gorilla in a top hat and a fucking, you know, cufflinks and a bow tie. You know, he was just really discriminate towards us and wanted us to fucking pay full fee, like basically training all over again with him, which was just not happening, you know what I mean? So, you know, luckily we were able to just train there on a different condition, luckily. So we trained there for just a little bit, and then, you know, we got, you know, hooked up with, you know, a guy named JT, and then he changed it, and then he formed DIW, so he worked for DIW for a little bit. Of course, the guy never had a license, you know, and shows got canceled and shit, you know, whatever. But at the time, I was able to kind of, you know, see the business just a little different. Like, become more of myself and not, you know, so much of, you know, a gimmick to where it's not who I am outside. So that lasted but so long, and then we all had a falling out. Then me and Black G's went to train and work for WWC in Vineland. So we were there for a bit, and we got to meet like guys like JoJo, Merc, and all those guys, and you know we kind of introduced them to a whole new style of wrestling, like something more, you know, I would say tight. Like I was always a big fan of Japanese style pro wrestling, just something more realistic. And then we also, me and Nell looked up to guys like Low Key and Homicide because to us, they were them. Like they're whatever you say, their gimmicks were, their persona, that was them outside. And then we just looked at it as like, wow, we don't. It's something so different. We don't have to be molded into something we're not comfortable with. So we looked up to them a lot. We watched a lot of their videos. A lot of shows that they were on. I mean, it was just we kind of looked at us as being them, but just younger and less experienced. So when we worked at Vineland, I by the way hate fucking Vineland. It's depressing. I mean, we talked about it on the ride here. Uh, but we went out there. We fucking took the drive, trained every Wednesday. Did the shows there for this guy named Carlos. And then I remember one show. It was me and JoJo, and we decided that night, like, we wanted to put so much heat into our match that we fought in the crowd. I remember, the booker at the time, Carlos, fucking snapped, and then sent guys in the ring to try to, shoot on us. And the match was over, but he tried to send guys to shoot on us. I remember, Nell came out and warned me about it, so we jumped out of the ring, looked at him, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how, why is it come down to this? And then we left. Then shortly after, I guess when Carlos took over, he ran it the way he wanted to run it. It wasn't how WWC was supposed to be. And since these guys train with, I guess, what's his name? Who were we talking? What was the dude's name that runs WWC in Puerto Rico? Carlos Colon. Like, they were all his students. So they saw how it was all going to shit. They left. So now, back into the predicament of finding another place to train. So since they're from Jersey, they found, the CZW gym and invited us to go with them one, day and go train. And we went. We, trained there, basically. Not, trained by them or under them, but went there to, just work on, some things that we have. And, John wanted us to all run, like, these, small 5-minute matches to see how we are. And I mean, it's how it all started.
All right, and eventually, in 2003, September, you actually wrestle your first match at the arena for CZW. You wrestled a four-way: Christian Wolf, Black G's, and Corey Castle. Do you remember? Do you remember that day? Were you nervous? Were you excited?
Well, I was always nervous when I go into that building because, I mean, it's, the home of, ECW. I mean, a lot of that building had just so much history, and just being, just being in the business and being early on in the business, and you step into this building, it's like, and it's like, I mean, comparison to probably stepping foot in like a fucking pyramid or something, or just, the White House. It was just something just big. And, being at the time, the locker room was so different. It was like a family atmosphere, but you had to prove yourself to everyone in that locker room. Like, you went around, you had etiquette, you had to shake everyone's hand, introduce yourself. And I came from a gym that was real big on that, and like I said, you had to just prove yourself. I remember going in and calling this match, and Mike Burns at the time was there to monitor to see how we would do, because he wasn't 100% sure how we all were. I mean, it was just all green guys in the same match with no in-ring general. So going in, I know Corey had somewhat of a following and has been, one of the students and shit that was already prior to doing shows. So he was the guy how we looked at as having the most experience, in this company. Christian Wolf was just another, guy, a green guy that we've met that was still training under John Dahmer while we were working out at the CZW gym. So I remember just calling this match, and yeah, I mean, the nerves did kick in as it was the arena. The crowd, of course, was so different compared to everywhere else. I mean, it's just different. I mean, if you can get over in this crowd in Philly, then you can get over anywhere. I mean, that's how we look at it. I mean, it's like a love-hate relationship, but I mean, it's just so different. And going into this match, it was just like there's so much weight on our shoulders. It's what it felt like because we had to prove to John that we want to be here and then that we're worth keeping. So, I mean, the match, is what it is. I mean, he wanted the Joker driver, and I gave it to fucking Nell at the time, and after that, Corey hit me with the super kick, and that's how it was. But then later on that night, I guess Chris Hero did the driver, which was called the Rubik's Cube. Which I didn't know. I thought like I was the guy that kind of invented the move because I remember watching, Lucha Libre, and when I was back in DIW, and I thought of a great reversal to a victory roll, and the first recipient was Devin Moore, like because he was the crash test dummy. And I remember when I used to do it, I used to do it in a release, so I would just sit down and drive into the mat and let you go, and you would bounce right off my shoulders, and it looked more devastating, but at the same time wasn't as safe. So then I went with holding on the whole time. So I thought that I was the first and only doing it, but apparently he did it, and then I just knew that it was a move that's kind of been around and only done by a few.
And so you had the first match. What do you remember about the actual locker room that night, though? Do you remember being in there? Like, who was the leaders? Were you intimidated at all? Were they cool to you?
Oh yeah, I was definitely intimidated. I mean, all the leaders were like, you had Wife Beater, Flash, you had Messiah, you had Trent, Johnny, fucking Gage. It was just it was an intimidating locker room. I remember I've looked at these guys in such a whole new and different level of that just being in there. I felt grateful that John, allowed us to be there. I mean, he didn't have to, book us, use us, anything. He didn't have to let us train in his gym. Didn't have to do anything. But the guy, I mean, from the beginning was just, so nice and cordial, but at the same time very, firm in his standing. And he must have, saw something in us, thought we were a great addition to the locker room, and until this day, I'm still grateful. Like I still wish John is running the company, and
We'll talk about that later.
yeah. But I mean, I'm just grateful, to this day for John giving me the opportunity, and Nell the opportunity, and Nell feels the same way. But it allowed us to move up the ladder, so to speak, in the Indies. But like I said, you had to earn and prove yourself in that locker room. They didn't allow any dickhead just come in. It just wasn't the way it is now. I mean, you had to go in and prove yourself that why were you even chosen to work in the first place? Why are you even in our locker room? I mean, it was just tough love, and after a while I've earned a lot of respect to the guys because I respected them, like beyond belief. But at the same time, it's like I kept my mouth shut. I went in, did what I was told. I didn't do too much, and from then on, I slowly just got the respect from the boys, and I still do now.
And obviously John did like you because over the course of the next couple months, he set you up for a pretty big match at Cage of Death 5, which of course was the ladder match with Chris Cash. Of course, it was supposed to be a four-way that day, but two people didn't show up, and it just ended up as you and Chris. What are your memories of that day, Cage of Death 5, and the match, and everything that goes with it?
I'd say the whole ladder match happened by default. Like I I didn't know where I would be put in the shuffle at all. Like I was still there proving myself, month after month. And you had Azriel and Derange. They were working together, and they were the two New York guys that trained together, whatnot, and worked each other countless times. And I don't know if it's like I don't know the whole backstage politics or the booking aspect of it at the time, but something came along the lines of John wanted them incorporated in a ladder match, and he thought that I would best fit to be the fourth person for this to happen. So then it started with this run in, and we, me and Azriel,
November.
yeah, November,
Yeah.
we fucked up on this, one move we wanted to do. Cash came out, did the whole thing, and then it was supposed to be a tag ladder match. So I remember gearing up for it, and Cash, of course, reputation of him just doing ladder matches and just him being on fire and the constant. So I remember being at the dojo, and we're in Jersey, training, and we trained every day. Because I mean, me, and Nell took the business pretty serious, and we've trained together for so many years, and then we just trained every day. Remember going in and thinking like what spots I could do with a ladder, really trying to figure out like to do something different and unique compared to everyone else. So Chris would come by, we'd talk, we'd fucking come up with some ideas, we change some ideas, whatever. But the night of, we get there and there was a rumor that Azriel and Derange had Jersey All Pro, and there's a possibility they're going to be very late. So we're all like, all right, fuck, what time, they're going to be here. By time intermission, or it's getting close to intermission, we're like, fuck, they're not here yet. Oh, now they're not going to be here. So now it's just up to me and Chris. So we just went like, look, we just put everything together quick. So look, we're just going to fucking go out there. We're going to do this. I mean, at the time, we were just fearless. Two guys that just, all we thought about was CZW. That's it. And to do, it wasn't about us. It was about CZW as a company. It was it was the better the company and to benefit the rest of the guys. And I wasn't in it to make a name for myself. Cash was in it to make a name for himself. Like, we were all, for CZW. So we go out there, and everyone saw, we went all out. It didn't fucking matter. I remember when I took that fucking bump off the ladder and hit the floor, and I missed the other ladder completely. And when I hit that floor, I remember laying there, and Shawnee was right next to me, and he's like, hey, you alright? I remember saying to him, I can't feel my fucking legs. And I didn't feel my legs for at least 30 seconds. Like, I was just, one, in shock that, one, I hit the floor. Two, I can't feel my legs. And three, I'm still alive. But at the same time, I'm still in awe that I'm in the arena and there's like over 1,000 people just all in this match. And I'm just like, holy shit. And that's when Chris brought out the giant fiberglass ladder, and, everyone knows what happened afterwards. But till this day, like, without John giving us that opportunity, and without Chris being psycho enough to just say, hey, just give me that move you do off the ladder through a table. Like, it was his fucking idea to want to do it. And I remember I, at first, just said, look, just have Chris go, or I'll take the cash flow, whatnot. And no, like, Chris and John were all for the driver. And I didn't expect it to come out as it did on video. Like, the thing was, it was fucking perfect. It was just perfect. I mean, the people rose up their feet all at, like, the right time, the response, the reactions, everything. I mean, after the driver was done and you see John storming the fuck out of the locker room, sliding the ring, he thought Chris broke his neck. Like, he thought he broke his neck. That's why he slid out there, and to make sure he was okay. Like, he didn't expect it to go over like that for a finish. But I mean, because of Chris, because of that just simple decision of taking the driver, he got me to where I am today. Because of that one decision. Because honestly, when I think about it, if I didn't do that move, or if that match never happened, where would I be today? Like, what name would I have for myself, honestly? So
And
I do owe it all to Chris and John.
and you talk about how you guys went into that match wanting to do it for like the team, doing it for CZW. When you got back to the locker room, do you remember, was there the kind of reaction you got?
The reaction I got was like all open arms. Like, B-Boy came up to me, was the first guy, and I was just like in shock because it was B-Boy. I mean, and then, Sanjay, Flash and all, and like every one of them, it was just like, it was like I finally proved myself to be one of the boys. Like, finally. And it just felt so fucking good at that moment. And then from then on, I carry it with me until to this day. I mean, despite the locker room being so fucking different now compared to how it was then, I mean, still like that moment, like I will never forget. Just walking through that curtain, having John there, the boys were all clapping. It was just like, it was just an experience that only few can pretty much have, and then you will never forget. I mean,
Hmm.
I will never forget.
To this day, I think that may be the single. I think that may be the moment that defines CZW, possibly, in a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just so honored to be just a part of it. I mean, just honored the fact to be chosen to do it, to be honored to have the faith of John, Mike Burns, and, Cash to be in this match. Like, it was just, I mean, it could not be any more perfect than that. Like, it was just,
Right. And so you walk back to the curtain and you feel like you finally got you finally earned the respect of your peers. Did you feel like from that moment on your position changed in the company?
um, not really changed. I was still, like, I still compose myself to like how I was, in when I first got there. Like, I didn't walk around with a chip on my shoulder. I still thought that I had to like prove to the guys, I had the respect because I mean I looked at myself as being here and them up here. I mean that's just how it was to me. Like I didn't, voice my opinion. I never talked to the, whoever's booking direct. I never had to bitch about anything. I did what I was told, and that was it. And my position in the locker room, I was just now one of the boys. I didn't climb up any rung in the ladder, anything like that. I was just one of the guys now, and the guys had somewhat faith in me, and that's all that changed really.
Okay, and then from January to May of '04, you started working with you worked with names like Ruckus, Sabian, Black G's, Sabian at the time, Chris Cash, Sanjay, Jimmy Jacobs, Jimmy Rave, Roderick Strong. You have any memories of working with those guys or any of those matches?
Uh,
Any of those stand out to you?
let's see. I think the one that stood out to me was uh, the matches we've had. The tag table match we had, which was they were fun. Match had with Rave was just different. Now I'm working more of a main, guy on the card, and according, I mean, it was a writing show, but still, it opened a whole new, spectrum of wrestling to me now. Now I wasn't wrestling anymore of the low card guys. Now I kind of moved up a little bit in wrestling, guys. It was like an experiment, I guess, with whoever was booking at the time. It was either Mike Burns and Zandig, but I remember on these non-arena shows, wrestling guys like, you know, I think that January after Cage of Death, it was a four-way with Johnny Storm, a four-way
Mm-hmm.
or five-way Johnny Storm. I remember wrestling him for the first time. I remember watching videos of him for like the prior Best of the Best and everything like that. Nicest guy I've ever worked. One of the nicest guys I've ever worked with. Uh, then it was Jimmy Rave out in Reading. Then it was Roderick Strong in Allentown. I mean, they were all like new learning experiences for me, and I had a lot of fun working with these guys. I would love to work with them again. Um, but I mean, it was just now I saw myself just a little, different from some of the guys to where I was given more opportunities now. But still, I was very humble. I knew my place. Like I didn't, bitch about anything. I didn't go into business for myself. I wasn't playing backstage politics, but I saw that I was just now being given more opportunities, and I took it and just ran with it until I was told to do something else.
And somewhere, at some point in this time frame, the blackout is formed. Do you remember how that all came to be and how you got involved with that?
Um, I think it started with Ruckus and Robbie had this idea. I don't think I was ever in the original plan at all, and they wanted, Sabian because I mean, one, he looked the part, and they needed, just a click to kind of work well together, or whatever, the look, everything. So I believe it started in a four-way with me, Ruckus, Nell, and Chris. And then that's when Sabian went with Ruckus, and then the month after, I, you know, got pulled into Blackout. And, Ruckus, of course, was the ringleader of the group. I mean, we were just two guys, still somewhat remotely new to the company, still, like, paying our dues with the company, low on the totem pole. We just followed whatever Ruckus, whatever ideas he had, lead and Robbie. But that's how it started, the Blackout thing.
Okay. In June of 2004, you leave for I guess begin training for the first time. You join the military and I guess you prepare to deploy. What made you decide to I guess join up with the military and go to war really?
Well, I grew up, with, my father's pretty, strict. And he always wanted me to join the military, shit like that. It's just, that's all he talked about. I knew that I wasn't, for it. Like, I was real big in the, art, and, I had different aspirations of what I wanted to do after high school. I mean, I went to, Catholic school my whole life. I graduated from Roman Catholic high school. And I remember senior year, first period was like government, and, we turned the TV on. It was September 11th, and seen the first plane hit, and I remember thinking, it's a fucking weird freak accident. Then second period was theology, and they saw the second plane hit. So we get released home early, and shit like that, and then you see more of the news, all terrorists, an act of terrorism from so and so. I guess that sparked something later on down the line, like weeks on, to where I thought what I really wanted to do. Like, I didn't want to be the guy that would sit on the couch eating fucking chips and shit, getting crumbs all over him, watching the news, saying like, oh, if I had a chance, I'd go kill every one of them motherfuckers, blah, 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 blah. I didn't want to be that guy. Like, I saw myself as an able-bodied individual, and I had no real direction what I wanted to do. Like, I didn't make up my mind, and then I met a recruiter during lunch period, and that's how it started. Like, I was just, I just wanted to do something. Then I remember shipping off the basic training. Like, the first time I wrestled in CCW was like, I guess it was June or July in Vineland that year. And then that September is when I was leaving for basic training. Then, I graduated, basic and AIT, January of 03. Then that's when I got into wrestling again. And then, you get deployment orders. At the time, I was a combat engineer, which is, I was a demolitions specialist. We get orders to go. So then I had to cut everything down like wrestling. Like, I didn't let the whole world know I was going. I was just letting like a select few guys know. And, things kind of got sped up or whatnot. And then that's when Blackout did its turn on me. The first turn of many. And then it's when I had the death match with, John Zandig before I left. I left the week after. Prior to deployment, you do train up or whatnot. It's to see what, where your unit's at. No matter what training you do, what scenarios, they always give you a scenario to where you're always going to fail. It gets to a point where it's like, they throw in so many things to you to see how you're going to react to it. And then finally, they throw in like the atom bomb, like the most, you cannot pass it. They just want to see, where your mindset is, how are you going to react to it no matter what. Nothing can prepare you at all, especially in your first deployment. Like, no matter what videos they make you watch, what training scenarios they put you in, what war games you get played in. I mean, remember we went to JRTC down at Fort Polk, Louisiana, and it's like, it was 2 weeks, 24/7, like around the clock of war games. Like, they fucking throw everything at you. You had to basically live in the scenario like you would over there. Like, it was just nonstop. But as I was saying, nothing can prepare. I remember when we first got there, it was December of '04.
First got to Iraq.
Yeah, first got to Iraq. And now, your mindset's a little different. So you're there, you're learning. Like, we got there with the 1st Infantry Division out of Germany, and they're engineers. At the time, there was no, we didn't have EOD, which is, the Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit, like you would see in Hurt Locker. The guy was EOD. We didn't have that. They did it. Like, they would do route clearance every day. And what route clearance was, you'd get in the Humvees, you'd have 4, that was your convoy, and you would have your platoon. Each platoon would flip flop, certain days and routes. You basically go out there and you look for roadside bombs. Either you find them or they hit you. And then if your vehicle's not disabled and you don't have no casualties, you continue on your mission of trying to find more. And we would be outside the wire. And when I mean outside the wire, it means being out in the field, basically, out in fucking, the hellhole. We would be out there all day. And then at times you'll get QRF. You have, be in the quick reaction force. You'll be on call for 24 hours. You'll all stage in one area. If shit hit the fan outside the gate, you were that response team that would go out and assist whoever. I remember first time, being there and going out on missions. I remember being selected to go on certain missions. When we do a left seat, right seat, it means you'll be in the passenger seat. The unit that's there to be in the driver's seat. You see what they do and how they do things, and then you learn the area. And then before they leave, they're now in the passenger seat and they watch us do it. So I remember going on some of these missions, and remember the first time I went out was a raid with them. Then after that, I start really going out as a gunner. So I would be up top in a turret. And it was just so surreal. I mean, now, no matter what video you watch or what training, environment you were ever in, it couldn't prepare you for this. I mean, remember, every Saturday that December, there was a fucking car bomb outside the gate. And outside the gate was at least like 300 meters. Like, we stayed in a fire base. It was called Fob Summerall in Beji, which was, I believe, was 10 miles north of Baghdad. And at the time, prior to that, the Sunni Triangle, when the fighters would actually leave there and go to Beji when the Marines came in, and they would stage there. And Route Tampa, which is basically the highway of hell, it's the main supply route that runs from Baghdad to Mosul. It would go through Beji, and when it went through Beji, I mean, it was like Broad Street, and they called it RPG Alley because at one time or another, these fuckers were just shooting RPGs from, like, the rooftops of buildings and, second story fucking balconies, and it was a choke point. Remember, the car bombs happening every Saturday, like, and it would just rumble the fucking base, and we would go out there, and now you're like, fuck, like, this is for real. Like, these fucking people are trying to kill us. Like, I mean, you go out to the gate, you set your weapon to red status, which, round in the chamber, full magazine. Like, all you had to do is from safe to semi and just unload. You're just right there. But I remember going out, and the feeling is like, you don't know if that day would be like your last day. Like, you're just like, anything can happen. Like, once you're out there, you're out there. I remember going to, like, the first car bomb site and, just seeing, just the devastation from one. It was just like, what the fuck? And the body parts of the guy. Like, the guy just had this belief and this hatred towards, like, Americans, like, that he would actually do this. I mean, the engine block was fucking like 100 meters away. Like, that's how powerful it was. It disintegrated everything. I remember picking up a human big toe. A fucking big toe. Well intact with the fucking toenail still on. And just everything hanging off. I remember showing a buddy of mine. And it was, I guess, for me to get at ease and comfortable at the environment I was in. I remember showing him and kind of laughing about it in a way. It was just a natural response. But, it's just so surreal. And then afterwards, I guess after a couple months, I was at the I don't give a fuck attitude anymore. Like, I felt comfortable. Like, once I joined the Army, I felt like I was born to do it. Like, everything came natural to me. Midway through the tour, I went from route clearance now, and I got selected to be attached to a special team that the base put together. It was a counter rocket mortar exploitation team, because we would take rocket and mortar fire onto the base on a constant, and our job was to go look for it. And I was an engineer asset, and a buddy of mine, Sergeant Bentley, we got chosen to do it. After we basically did our job, caught the rocket guy, they didn't know what to do with us, so they took the active duty component that was with us, put them back to base security, and we were then attached to a scout platoon, which they only had a platoon size element anyway, and they were doing all the hot shit. So we got attached to them. They broke us down, and now we made up two platoons. And the way we worked at the time was, for a week straight, one platoon do all day missions, and then that night, or the other platoon would do all night missions. And then when we would do a raid, which was, fucking every week, it was all of us combined. No one would talk to us, like no interaction from any other unit. We stayed in our compound all day until that night, and then we'd go out, snatch our guys, and bring them back. So I'd say the most fun I had was towards the end, to where we were just, we were doing everything. I mean, we went
Your
out
job was basically
every
to go
day.
out and hunt people down.
Yep, we had a little, some devices and whatnot to capture the top 10 most wanted within our AO, which is our area of operations, and we'd go out at night and find their houses, break down the fucking door and snatch them. And what my job was, I was a breach man. Since I was a 12 Bravo, a combat engineer, I had demolitions. Like, I was able to carry C4, deck cord, and just
So you're the one that
everything.
busts the door down, basically.
I blew up doors. And I was always part of the entry team. And if I wasn't part of the entry team, then I was the outer cordon, which I was the first team to go into the compound that held, the outer cordon, which is the courtyard area, and then do detainee operations. But majority of the time I was always on the raids, on the ground, where I like to be. Like, I was more comfortable being on the ground, seeing what's going on, than be in the vehicle. So
Did you and your team, did you guys ever take down any like big names? Were you part of any?
I remember one mission we were part of. We were with a special forces unit, an ODA that was there, and they were hunting Zarqawi, and we were their security. We provided the outer cordon security for them, and Zarqawi apparently was in our AO, and I remember being on a corner pulling security, and it was right downtown Beijing, and the special forces unit, they went in with their Iraqi army counterparts, whatever. And I remember standing in the corner pulling security, and fucking Main Street was maybe a block away. I remember two guys carrying a guy that was definitely dead or even dying, just past me. And all you could just think of was like, damn, like, what the fuck happened? You know what I mean? Like, there's always shooting every day. Like, every day you're shooting. You're shooting warning shots, because, I mean, the car bomb, the V-bids was, pretty high at the point, or, and you tried to keep cars at least 100 meters away. I mean, shots were just being run. You're getting pop shots done at you, and all you could do is just stand there and just, like, look around like, what the fuck? But, I mean, it was the Wild West at the time. But, I mean, the big high value was Zarqawi. Of course, he wasn't there. But then I remember catching number one on our most wanted list. I remember bringing him in. It was like 4 in the morning. We snatched him up, brought him in, and every, dickhead with brass wanted to come and go see this guy. You know what I mean? And take credit for, the capture or whatnot. But, I enjoyed the tempo that, that deployment, especially at the end. Like, I felt like that's what I belonged to, and it felt good. I mean, I didn't really pay much attention about wrestling at the time. When I came back, I remember having a sit down with Mike Burns to discuss, like, I wanted to slowly come back in, because I knew my mind wasn't right at the time. Like, I suffered somewhat severe, PTSD, and I wanted to slowly get back into it, because I didn't know what I wanted to do at the time. I felt like this lifestyle is not what I belonged to. Like, I just felt just I wanted to go back. And I remember having to sit down with him to discuss, not to come back right away, to give me time. And, after that, we, had our agreement. I got a call later on about Big Japan, if I had a passport, if I wanted to go, because they wanted JC to go, but JC didn't have a passport, so he brought me up and he wanted to see if I had a passport. I said yes. And then, JC ended up supposedly going. So then I got pulled into Cage of Death. I forgot how exactly. And then I remember that night JC wasn't going to Big Japan. He was there for Cage of Death as well. And that's how it was, me, Necro,
Right.
Toby, JC against Team Zanding.
Um, can I ask you a little more about Iraq?
Yeah, sure.
You talked about, and we'll get back to your return to CZW right after that. But you talked about how, like, you were just stuck. You were going in basically blind into these buildings and whatnot. Did you ever have any close calls?
Oh yeah. I remember one. We did a raid or whatnot. And I was breaching a door, and the first thing is you take the Humvee and you crash. Like every Iraqi house has a courtyard. So I remember crashing into the front gates of the courtyard with a Humvee, and then from there you had to try to get inside. And I was the point man also. So I remember going in trying to find the entry point, like rushing right in, and I remember stacking up right on the door, and it was a metal gate door with glass, and someone passed me the ram. It's either I was the breacher or I remember being at the door first. I remember taking the ram, just bashing this fucking door down, breaking all the glass, and for some odd reason, these people do not. They're either so sound asleep or so used to just racket. They did not even know we were coming in. Like, I'm bashing this fucking door and glass is just fucking shattering. Not one, like nothing. Not one light was nothing. So we finally get the door open, and this dude, Benny Yaga from Cali, he fucking rushes in there, and this is his first time on the stack team. And he rushes in there, and he slips on the glass. There was a door on the left-hand side, fucking pitch black inside. It was just a doorway. The door was open. It's just a doorway. He slips on the fucking glass right in front of the threshold of that door. And I remember a figure of a fucking guy just comes right out of the fucking, right out in the fucking doorway. And he was down. My first reaction is when I came was just fucking sock the shit out of this fucking guy to take him down. Because the first thing you do is anyone military age, they get taken down and zip tied right away. Then you separate the women and children in another room, and then you go from clearing the building, now you go into searching the fucking building. And I remember just once I saw that figure and Benny Ago's down, I remember just throwing a fucking right cross, knocking him right to his ass, and storming into that fucking door. And when you take over a fucking room, you take over with fucking violence of action. He was down in his stomach, zip tied him, fucking stayed on him, and the whole building was clear within at least 30 seconds. Then there was another instance when we used to do OPs for 10 hours. An OP is an observation point. And we would drive up in Blackout Drive, which with your NVGs, no fucking headlights, besides an IR, light that's on the Humvees, driving up to this, like, somewhat of a smaller mountain and overlooking Tampa. Overlooking for guys playing IEDs and shit, firing mortars, whatever. We'd be up there for like 10 hours a night when we do night missions. I remember it was one of our last final missions, and we were, driving up there. And I remember a gunner saw a guy pop his fucking head out of a berm, and we fucking just bang drove straight over to where he saw it. Then there was two guys just running. So as we were driving, dude, doors open, we fucking jumped out as the fucking Humvees were still rolling, chasing these fucking guys down. We finally got them. One guy was wearing a flak vest that was issued to the Iraqi police. He had a Glock on. It was a Glock 19, but he wasn't a cop. And the other guy didn't have anything. I remember I had the other guy, and I was grabbing him, getting him to the ground to fucking, to zip tie him. The dude was just fucking just resisting and resisting. And I was just like, get the fuck down. And anything I knew in Arabic to get him down. He kept resisting. I remember firing a warning shot within 5 inches from his fucking face. And right away caught his attention. He went down. No problem. Zip tied him. That was it. They go back to where they ran from. And there they found an RPK, which is like a fucking, a machine gun. Belt-fed machine gun. It looks like an AK, but just bigger. Pointing directly where we would set our OP. Like, these guys were fucking planning an ambush. And luckily, we caught them, prior to them initiating this ambush. So, I mean, those were the close calls. And then plus, of course, you got the IEDs. I remember getting hit with them. And, the first one was, it was in December of 2004, and I was gunning. I remember we're driving on Tampa, and there was, this bridge, this overpass, right? Normally when the SOP, which is standard operating procedures, when you go into these like overpasses, you'll stop 100 meters out, you get out, and you actually walk on foot scanning, looking for any possible signs of IDs, like wires, things just out of place, just, it's hard to kind of explain, but you'll be on foot looking for it. Now, we, were told, because we were doing our left seat, right seat with the first ID, we're told that there was an ID there prior to, it was, I think, yesterday, the day before. So he was like, just fucking drive right through the overpass. So we're like, all right. So I was in the first vehicle. I sit down, fucking, because you got the shield around it, and we drive right through. And as I stood up to scan, with the 50 and, to still do my job as a gunner, as I stood up, boom, like this fucking big explosion. I remember being fucking having rocks and shit pelted at me and being fucking thrown towards the 50. And I turned around and saw this big ass cloud of smoke. Like, it looked like the overpass collapsed. Like, it was just that much smoke and dust. And I just turned and looked and said, holy fuck. And they were calling the radio. They're like, hey, fucking, two, are you hit? And then two would call back to the third Humvee, because we thought one of them, like the third Humvee thought the second Humvee was still under the bridge. The second Humvee thought the third Humvee was still stuck on the bridge. So we're just like holy shit. Luckily, nobody got hurt. It just hit between the second two vehicles. I mean, it took big ass fucking chunks out of the up armored Humvees. And if you guys ever seen shrapnel from like one of these rounds, I mean, gee, it just looks like a fucking jagged knife. Like, depending on what round, if it's either a 155 South African fucking mortar round, some of them could be American made rounds. I mean, these people are some cunning little fucks. Like, I mean, they got some balls to be drilling into like an unexploded ordnance, which is like a fucking bomblet or a bomb, rocket, missile that gets launched and doesn't go off. It's a dud. They would take it, drill a fucking hole into it, and arm it to make it a roadside bomb. And they do it in their home. Like, they got some fucking balls. Like, I wouldn't touch it. I remember we would find shit during the Desert Storm campaign, and you wouldn't touch it. Like, I mean, a change in temperature could have it go off. A shadow, if you cast a shadow over some of these munitions, they would go off. So you would not touch them. And these fucking people would dig for this shit, take it home, and fucking rig them to however they need done. Either initiated by a cell phone, because they could be driving by as you're driving by one and fucking hit call and set it off. Washing machine timers, they'll do it by command wire, which with speaker wires, and fucking hit the positive and negative with a 9-volt battery to set them off. I mean, they were some cunning fucking assholes, but, luckily I survived and came home. I mean, we lost 6 guys in our task force, all from, Philly, but, luckily enough, we didn't lose any more, and, we did our job. And
Was that tough for you to lose those guys? I mean, obviously it wasn't pleasant, but was that particularly tough?
It hit everyone. It's when you look at, all these, even if you don't know them, like, they're just a reflection of you. Like, you're all in the same uniform, doing the same job, just about. All in for, like, somewhat the same reasons. Some, with their own reasons. College maybe, or they're just pure patriots. But it's nothing comes close to seeing, another, guy in uniform, just, I mean, my experience, it was just nothing came close to it. It was almost like seeing, a immediate family member being like, in pieces. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
it was. I mean, we all got choked out because it could have been any one of us. I mean, you just right away think of their families or whatnot, and just the news, how it would get to them. I mean, it just really hurt morale, but at the same time, it just sparked a fire, and you just really didn't give a fuck about the people in that area anymore. Like, you were out there for fucking some payback.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we still kept our composure and did our job and didn't create more enemies. But I mean, seeing just another American soldier just like pieces, like, you just want to make sure like everything goes back home and nothing left for the wild dogs to eat.
Right. So we'll get away from the military stuff for now, but we'll backtrack just for a second. Like you said just before you left, um, the first time you had your Ultraviolet Underground match with John in May of '04. Whose idea was that, and what do you remember about doing that match?
I think it was like my idea. Is John kind of cracked a joke, and I went along with it, and it became serious. But it was both of us. I wanted to do some before I left. Like, it was the whole thing of not knowing, like, when I was coming home, if I'm coming home type thing. And I wanted to do something memorable before I leave. So I thought, nonetheless, doing a death match with a death match icon like John Zanding. And I guess John wasn't like 100% sure that I wanted to do it or whatnot. And I remember sitting down and talking and kind of hashed details out. Showed up the next day, everything was being set up. A lot of the guys were there, like, Cash was there, GQ. I mean, a lot of the boys from the area, and it was all for the support. And I remember prior to doing it, sitting with Mike Burns, and he's like, "Am I sure that I still want to do this?" And I was like,
No turning
"Yeah,
back.
it's almost too late to turn back anyway." So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"Fuck it,
Yeah,
I'll
like you
just
didn't
do
really
it."
have a choice
No,
at that point.
I was like, "Fuck it, I'll do it." How bad could it be? You know what I mean? Remember after the death match though, to be cleaned off is be sprayed down with a hose, and closing up a lot of the wounds was just with crazy glue. Like, I didn't want to go to the hospital or anything because I was leaving that week for the deployment. So I
Mm.
remember getting crazy glued shut. A lot of the holes, and I had fucking holes. Like, I remember I just recently did a physical, and the nurse thought I got shot. That's how bad one of the scars look. And remember afterwards I had to get re-closed again with my sister, and she, crazy glued one of the holes shut, and she actually accidentally glued her finger
Uh,
to the cut to pull out. But I remember it just after it being done, it just, it was like, wow, it's over. The match is over. I mean, we went out. I remember coming up with the spot of John Gorilla pressing me and throwing me to the outside. And I thought it was like the best bump I've ever taken. It was like straight Hollywood stuntman bump, making the transition in midair and crashing into fucking chairs, light tubes, and barbed wire. But I remember having a lot of fun doing it with John. I mean, he, took care of me the whole time. When he power bombed me into that fucking corner, that was the one thing that hurt a lot. Because that's when I felt like every barb from the wire just inside of me
mm.
for the first time in my head and everything. But it was a mutual like decision on our part. But it started as a joke, and then it went into action.
And also, before you left, as you mentioned briefly, there was the turn with the blackout. You were out, and eventually, Eddie Kingston came in. Um, was everybody on board for Kingston coming in?
Me and Nell were. I remember how Eddie came to be. It was, talked to Mike Burns the day of the death match. I remember asking him, like, I remember telling him, like, look, I've never asked for any favors at all. Like, I just wanted one favor before I leave. And he was like, anything. And I was like, I want Eddie to be my replacement. Like, I want Eddie in black. I want him to take, to take my position. He was all for it. Right away, he called Eddie. Eddie and Blackjack drove from fucking Yonkers, New York, straight to the fucking gym that same day to be there. I mean, that's some dedication. And the reason why I chose Eddie was when me and Sabian first met Eddie was in Chikara. And we clicked right away. Like, that dude is like my fucking brother. You know what I mean? Like, I much love for the guy. When I tag with him, I know he has my back. Like when I tag with, Nell. Like the guy has my fucking back, and I have his back no matter what happens. You know what I mean? No, I mean, even if we worked against each other, it was just mutual respect. Like we beat the fucking balls out of each other. I mean, anything. But we had just a real tight bond, and when we first met him, like right away we clicked. We liked the same thing. We had the same motives, and I mean, we just been close ever since then. And I thought he was the perfect candidate for Blackout, and I wanted to see him be him outside of his, King of Diamonds, Eddie Kingston, Shakar persona. Like I wanted him to be him, him being the way he is now, which I already kind of foreseen, and I wanted it displayed. And I thought, like I said again, he was a perfect guy to be in the group.
Um, a couple
But
point.
back to, if anyone was on,
Mhm.
Ruckus wasn't keen on it. Robbie wasn't keen on it. At the time, I didn't give a fuck what Robbie thought, and I really didn't give a fuck what Ruckus thought. Like, I mean, I kind of saw Blackout as being something else, and it was kind of frustrating because it wasn't. They didn't see it how me, Sabian, and at times Eddie saw how we wanted Blackout to be. Like, we wanted to be like the new, Team 2000 in New Japan, or Crazy Max in Toryumon, or even like the NW. Like, we wanted the group to be something much more, but the other two had different visions on what they wanted and how they wanted the group to be. Like, to this day, I mean, I look at, like, thank God, like we did what we had to do in Blackout. Like, I looked at myself as being the workhorse. Ruckus was like the personality, and Robbie is the mouthpiece, and Sabian was just there, and Eddie started to really bring himself out, and I thank God Blackout's done. Like, I mean, I give a shit. I mean, apparently it's still going big in Maryland and stuff. I mean, I have fun. Don't get me wrong. I have fun being with my boys and everything like that. But when it came to the group and bookings, it was in a way a pain in the ass, because if one person in the group had a fucking problem with a different promoter, or a promoter didn't like them, it affected everyone, and it
Mhm.
did affect a lot of business for us, for a lot of us. And some guys, and I'm not going to name who, I felt as though they went in business for themselves. Like, the group propelled one or two people. It didn't do so much as a whole for everybody. Like, the whole stigma of Blackout, yeah, it was going well at one point, and it could have been so much more, but instead, it, ended up being what it is today. You know what I mean?
Right. um, so during the time when you were deployed, you actually had a couple times where you were back on leave, and you returned briefly to CZW during those times. Once was in November of '04, and then again in July of '05, where you participated in Tournament of Death alongside John against Blackout, Kingston, Ruckus, and Marino. What made you decide to be a part of TOD that year, and
Like
what
I
do you
was
remember
saying,
about that
like,
day?
let's see. I remember when I got back from leave, I wrestled pretty much every weekend. I did Shakar, and then I did Combat Zone, and I did whatever few memories kind of fucked up. But with TOD, I forgot how exactly it went down, but I remember the night before uh, I had a party, a pretty big party, and I was shit faced annihilated. And then the next day, TOD, and I just remember being there. Like I said, I still forgot what the details were of me being there, but I think it was the angle with Blackout. It was all Blackout versus John without Sabian. And Cash wanted to be in this match specifically, but Burns at the time did not feel as though he was ready to be in. I forgot what the situation was, but he didn't feel as though he was like either appropriate or ready to be in this match. And so I was in it with John, and it was like the big, surprise or whatever. So we go into this shit. Eddie's first time doing a death match. Dude did great. A lot of the selling was legit. Um, Ruckus, like first time I saw him in that environment, live, and it all worked out together. Like it really did. And I remember just afterwards, the cleanup and everything like that. We're all, talking bullshit. I remember seeing, Cash, like he wanted to be in this match so fucking bad. And then after, like during the match, Nell was like, man, I should have just been in that match. And it could have been something so different. It could have just been its own, like a non TOD type match. It wouldn't have the TOD feel to it. Just been like, a fucking, like a 6-man or some shit with just, gimmicks. But I mean, the details of me being in there, I think it was because of the fact of John versus Blackout, and they felt as though like I would fit that mold since they turned on me for like, what was it, the second time? No, first time. The whole angle. So that's how I got involved with TOD.
Okay, and then shortly after TOD that year, actually a month later, Chris Cash actually passed away. What do you remember about finding out, and what were your thoughts on that?
I remember I remember the last time I saw him alive was after TOD. It was at Hooters. It was him, John Jr., and some other guy that was just a mutual friend of theirs. But I remember getting the call. It was right after, I witnessed 4, U.S. soldiers in our task force from, the area, from the Philly and PA area, you know, being, killed. And I remember checking emails, and I was getting emails from everybody about Cash. And then I remember calling, and, I had that happening, and then days later, to like a week, and then Cash happening. It just hit hard. It was just one thing after another. And I mean, I still, like, to this day, just still think without him, I wouldn't be where I am today. And it really, really hit hard, especially how it happened. I wasn't expecting him to, to go out that soon, but, the dude, he was he loved life. Like, he was a fucking wild child, man. Like, I mean, the dude had basically no regrets. It was all for combat zone. Like, the guy was real passionate about combat zone and would, put his life basically on the line for the company. And just the news of him passing was just, it hit hard. Like, especially me being there, it really hit hard.
So later in 2005, you end up coming back to CZW full time. You return at Night of Infamy. They do the angle where you save Necro and Toby from a beatdown by John and Gage and Payne, and that leads to you being a part of Cage of Death 7. What was your thoughts going into being a part of the Cage of Death match, and then what do you remember about that match?
I mean, my thoughts about it was like, whatever, but I remember the match happening. It was like straight chaos. But I remember just going in there, and I was in there with John, and to hype me, like, I look back at it psychology wise, and I'm thinking to myself, like, why the fuck would I headbutt a barbed wire bat into John's head multiple times, But I remember doing that to kind of hype me up, like, to really, get me into, like, I knew the finish, like, what was going to happen. I wasn't so really keen on it. And I remember just fucking, the way to hype me up and to get me into the fucking mood was just to fucking headbutt that bat. And I fucking headbutt it multiple fucking times. Like, I buried that thing into John's forehead. And then the match kept escalating. And I remember one big spot was Payne, Gage gets thrown over the ropes, hits the glass, only one sheet breaks, the other one doesn't, lands right on this fucking table. I remember Payne grabbed me, just going like, just fucking pile driving me through the table. I was like, alright. So I remember grabbing him, hooking him up, fucking pile driver him right through. Thing just fucking explodes. You know, you see it on video. A big ass chunk of it went between my face and his hoodie. And I remember hearing this sound of like when you rip construction paper in half. That. And that was like this corner of my fucking forehead. That made the sound of a ripping construction paper. And I remember just turning my head and I felt this warmth just run straight down my face. And I'm just like, holy shit. I remember looking at footage, and when one of the camera guys were right on me, you just see it just coming straight down. And I'm like, what the fuck? So we still, you know, continue on with the match. And end spot's coming up, and I climb up there. Not everyone knows John's like fucking a pussy when it comes to heights. So remember, he's climbing up there, and I'm just throwing punches at him. He's just telling me, just telling me, hey, just stop moving around. Like the dude he was scared. So we get up there, and he gets me up. And Dewey's just fucking dousing these tables with fucking lighter fluid. And once he lights it, I've never felt anything that fucking like. You felt the heat just soaring straight up towards the ceiling, right at us, and I'm like, holy shit. And at this time, I'm on John's fucking hands. Like, he has me gorilla pressed up. And, hey, there's no changing the fucking minds after this. This is just close your fucking eyes, hold your breath, and go down. You're going for a ride. So, John waits for the heat to simmer down, right? So, we go off. And I'm not even looking where I'm going. My eyes are fucking closed. I'm holding my fucking breath. We hit. I roll away, and I was still somewhat on fire, like my hip was or some shit. And, you know, John goes to pin me. And when he pins me, the skin on my back, I knew it was burned off. So when he rolls me over, he's rolling me on fucking thumbtacks and glass. And it just did not feel so fucking good. And he holds me down, goes for the pin. I remember just rolling right away. And Shawnee and all the guys on the side thought it would be a great idea to pour water on me. Right away, I knew it was a bad idea. One, if you've ever been burnt before, not to pour water on it, because your pores are open and it's just going to suck in all the water and make the bubbles. It's what happened to Gage at, TOD. I remember yelling at him, don't fucking pour water on me. Don't fucking pour water on me. They're all right. They're like, okay, fine. So I remember just laying there with my back exposed and I'm still fucking bleeding. I get taken to the back and I had to get medical aid, and the only way to stop the bleeding in here was to sew it shut. Like, it was just so bad. It was like a maze, but it was a fucking puzzle, basically. So I remember being sewn shut to stop the bleeding. And then I had, my nose from the boot scrape with the wire, and then I had some up here which she sprayed, like that liquid fucking Band-Aid shit, and that burned. I remember my back. And after all my medical attention was done, there was no one left in the locker room. Like, that's how long it took. Everyone was gone already. I stayed with my sister out in the Northeast for afterwards because, she was a nurse and she had to make sure I was okay. And I had to sleep on my face for the first week. And my back, like, I wanted nothing done to my back. And it was the worst injury I've ever had to date. I remember if I went to the hospital, they wouldn't have been nice about it because they would have scrubbed my fucking back. I remember when she tried to do it, I flipped the fuck out. I took a shitload of fucking painkillers and went to sleep. My apparently inside the cut here was still bleeding. It actually leaked down into my eyelid and it swelled up. I still have somewhat permanent damage from that because I have like in a way a lazy eye, but it's my eyelid. Finally I thought, hey, just put some type of Johnson & Johnson lotion on my back, because it was just, I didn't want it touched. I didn't want it rubbed or anything. And it was my whole fucking back. I remember finally when I was able to fucking get it clean from her, she was peeling what we thought was burnt skin off my back, but it was like plastic. It was like when you take your finger and poke it through a plastic bag and it starts to thin out a little bit. It was that all over my back. And what it was when Dewey lit the table on fire, okay? It was so hot that laminate that's on the table liquefied. Okay? So it was a pool of this plastic. And everyone knows how hot plastic can be, especially if it fucking drips on you on fire. When we took the bump and I took it all back, that laminate splashed across my back. that's what burned me. That's what took the skin off my back, and I had third-degree burns on my back. So she was peeling that with tweezers, like it was plastic coming off of me, and it was like skin. I mean, I did not even go back to my parents' house. I just stayed there, and just, I mean, she did such a fucking great job to where when she cut these stitches out, she realized it was kind of matched wrong. So I got like a little Leatherface thing going on up here, but I mean, my back was just fucking horrendous. I, I can't wish anything like that on somebody. I just wish, if I hate you, I wish you a quick fucking death. But I mean, it was just, I couldn't explain it. I mean, John would call me to make sure I'm all right, and I just told him that's when I decided not to ever, do gimmick matches again. One, I didn't want to, put myself out there as being that type of wrestler, but two, the injuries were not worth it, and that was just enough after that. I mean, it just sucked dick.
Yeah, and then of course, a month later, you were back though. You faced Justice Payne at the arena. We talked about that on the car ride over here. What do you remember about the setup on that match?
Oh, I remember going in, like, remember seeing Justice Payne back in the day, and I still had, I still do have mad respect for him. Like, the guy is a fucking excellent performer. I mean, he is fun to watch. But to rate him wrestling wise, he is not a Dean Malenko. I mean, he's not a fucking great technical wrestler. He, straight up, he fucking sucks as a wrestler. But he was a fucking amazing performer, bar none. Like, the guy is fun to watch. Okay. Remember going to this match, and he wanted to wrestle. That's what he told me. He wanted to wrestle. I was like, oh, fucking awesome. You know what I mean? I mean, me and him can have this fucking decent wrestling match. He can show, that he can actually wrestle, and I can, go back into what I wanted to do was wrestle. Remember going into this match, we're, going over it, whatever. He was all passionate about it. Once we got in the ring, you watch the match again, look at his face, and what we talked about. He fucking had this face of, I don't know what to do right now. Like, basically forgot the whole first spot. Forgot everything. The only other person that made a face like that was this kid that had to wrestle in Triple WA, and I beat the fuck out of him because it was just a basic bullshit spot. The kid fucked up. I flipped the fuck out. I brain busted him to where I popped his shoulder. And then I remember apologizing afterwards, and they apologized back to me saying that they shouldn't have put him in there with me. It was the same face Payne made. And I remember just still going on with the match. And then what I've noticed was when, he would kind of work towards the crowd reaction. Like, they controlled his pace, and it basically, depending on how the crowd was, they would control what he would do next, and he'd go off of that, and it could be reckless and fucking dangerous, and it's just how he was. And I remember just sitting there and taking abuse. Like, the dude fucking kicked me like numerous times in the head. I got shit choked for real. I took a belt to the fucking head, and the whole time I thought to myself, at any fucking given time, I would lay this motherfucker out. That this guy would have been done at any fucking time. Like, everything he did was not doing anything. It was just pissing me the fuck off. But I knew that John was watching from the fucking balcony, and I respected John so much, I didn't want to do anything to just cause any fucking ripple in whatever idea he had, and I didn't want him to be pissed off at me, so I just went along with it. The dumbass table spot we fucking had in the corner, I knew it just wasn't gonna fucking break, but the guy insisted on doing it, so I was like, alright, we'll just do it anyway. I mean, it was just a match that I just had great expectations for the both of us, and it went the way it did, and it just pissed me the fuck off, and I felt that I let myself down, and I let everyone else down, and, I can't just blame fucking Payne. Like I said, if you want to rate him as a fucking wrestler, he's just terrible. But as a performer, the guy is on the fucking ball, and he's fucking amazing as a performer. But I mean, it was just a match that I wish I can do over in a way, but then at the same time I don't. Like, it happened, and
Once was enough.
that was it. I mean, anyone can tell you. I mean, it's like Punk when he fucking wrestled CM Punk, and you listen to the Punk Shoot interview. I mean, when Hero had to work, it's just the guy, he's not a wrestler. I mean, he has a spot. I mean, the guy was a pioneer of Combat Zone. Like, I do love watching him perform. I love watching his old shit because it's entertaining. But as a wrestler, he's not a great wrestler at all. And I went in thinking that he could be a great wrestler, and I was wrong. And I have no beef with Justice Pain. I have mad respect for him still. I mean, I would love to see him back. Like, I would love to see a lot of the old guys back because I think the locker room still needs somewhat of a general. I don't feel as I fit the mold because I've had countless times of, separation from the business. I mean, due to the Army, it fucking sucks. I wish I didn't have to do these deployments. I mean, I missed out on a lot of opportunities, but I feel as though someone like him needs to be back. Like, guys in that locker room need, to fucking, someone needs to instill respect in these guys and somewhat etiquette. And I, do wish him, Adam Flash, Beater, John, like I mean, it's always good to see John to be back in the locker room.
Right.
But, I mean, back to the whole match, it was just fucking, it wasn't what I wanted. It just wasn't what I had in mind.
All right, and during this time, this was KGS 7. That was actually Mike Burns' last show as Booker, and things kind of turned storyline wise, and things kind of took a turn for the worse for a while after that. And I know you and Black G's were among those who were frustrated with it, and that led to you guys kind of maybe looking for some other alternatives towards the middle of 2006, and eventually you guys do make the jump over to PWU. Why don't you talk about how that all came about? And I know there were some meetings with some people. Why don't you explain all that?
Um, well, we weren't. I wasn't happy with how we were being utilized. Like, matches started happening. Like, we're working with the forefathers, and gimmicks are being brought in the match that I was never aware of or told. Like, there's a barbed wire fucking board on the table that we're gonna have in our match, and it's like, I mean, it would have been nice to know or be asked if I wanted to do it or not. And then the booking just went to shit. It started to really go to shit, and I was getting tired of it. And I remember an offer was brought out for me and Sabian to go to PWU to wrestle SEMA and BB Hulk, and that was the original deal.
Who made that offer to you?
Someone I'm not going to say still works for the company, but the offer was there, and they knew we were unhappy, and I just felt like I wasn't in. We weren't being utilized the way we want it to be and the way we should be. So, we had meetings. The first meeting we had was with Todd Gordon, not fucking Johnny Cashmere. Fuck him. We basically sat down with Todd Gordon at his, jewelry shop down in Jewelers Row and had, a long meeting. And it was about us coming in to wrestle SEMA and BB Hulk for that show and to come in as a permanent stable. And he was all big on bringing the whole blackout thing. I remember at the time, like, we didn't do business for ourselves, which the one regret of having this business is if I would have done business for myself, I'd, definitely be somewhere else right now. You know what I mean? But we looked as a group, and how we were in wrestling, we were the same way outside. Okay? We watch each other's backs. We watch each other's, interest. And the deal was originally like, Ruckus were like, all right, look, we're on the phone nonstop trying to get this done. We're like, hey, how about jumping and go to PWU, shit like that. And, the booking sucks over fucking here, and might as well just jump over here for a minute. And Claude's thing is, well, they have to take Robbie too, and it wasn't a guarantee Robbie was going to be there. And then, Ruckus goes, well, we want more money. Or, no, you know what we'll do? We'll fucking get John to give us more money. And it was him not wanting to fucking go. And all it boiled down was we didn't go. Now, the match went to someone else, and we're in Combat Zone for a little bit more. Then we finally had the second meeting. Then we had enough. Sat with Todd Gordon again. Fucking had another meeting, and then we finally hashed out an idea and how we were going to do this. Finance-wise, it wasn't the motive at all. Like, I went into this business not about the money. Like, if I did, I was a stupid, dumb motherfucker. Like, I went in to basically be one of the best, or to be remembered as one of the best. I didn't go in at all for finance. And PWU, the jump wasn't for finance. It was just a bonus. I mean, that's how I look at it. We did make an increase, and I looked at it as being a bonus, but I wanted to be somewhere where I can display my wrestling and then work. Then we go over, make it over to PWU, and it wasn't with Johnny Cashman. It was strictly with Todd Gordon, and we had friends that worked there as well. It was, it was an experience. I got to, work with, these people like, SAT, Emil. Then we finally got Ricky Reyes to come over, work with Ricky, I worked with Homicide.
Devin Moore.
Devin Moore.
Flash.
Flash was the last match before I left. I'll go into that. But, Nell wasn't comfortable. Remember, this is, straight shoot. After the first show, we go out to eat at this place,
Mel's?
Todd's. Huh?
Mel's Diner?
Yeah, out in fucking across from Roxborough, right? We go there after the first show. Me, Nell, Alpha Junior, and shit, we all sat at the same table, and it was to celebrate this show. So I thought it was, pretty cool. Everyone's, getting blunts and shit, smoking, and I'm not a smoker at all. Like I take what I do very serious. I don't drink prior to shows. I don't smoke prior to shows. I diet. I work out. Even at the time that I didn't look like I've worked out, but I still worked out a lot. I remember being at this diner and there was, I guess, more drug use than marijuana, so to say. And I think that really made, Nell sick to his stomach to just want to leave. And he just saw the bullshit, so he went back to Combat Zone. And I ended up staying and working with Ricky and Homicide, and their idea was the new Rottweilers, which we thought was a stupid idea. But then I ended up tagging with Ricky, and, me and Ricky have the same type of relationship me and Eddie has. We're very, we're close. We're very similar. And that's one thing that made me want to stay. Then I was working for IWA Mid-South a lot of time because I think Ian saw that I separate myself from, Zandig and Combat Zone, which I didn't separate myself from John Zandig, but, I left Combat Zone because the booking committee went to a bunch of dickheads. I got more work from him. Then towards when I left, my last match was with Adam Flash, and Todd Gordon, something happened between Ricky Reyes and Todd Gordon, and it caused Ricky to not come back again. And that pissed me off because there was no details on what happened. And then the whole thing with drugs and people partying and shit like that, like prior to the show, just didn't sit well in my stomach. And it was a majority of the people. And just how it was, just the business aspect of how Todd Gordon had with Ricky Reyes really pissed me off. I remember it was at an IWA show, and I forgot, it was one of the tournament shows, and in the hotel room it was me, Ricky, Super Dragon, and I think Mike Quackenbush. I remember negotiating to come back with Combat Zone for Best of the Best, and us ironing out this idea. But prior to that, I would go down to the CZW dojo, and there was never any heat. Like, of course, I wouldn't let, Todd Gordon and them know about it. But, at that point, I didn't give a fuck anyway, because they, one, didn't have the balls to confront me. Because, how I am in the ring is, in a way, how I am outside. Like, if it comes down to us fucking throwing fists, then, yeah, I'm gonna fuck you up. But they wouldn't approach me about it anyway, so I wouldn't give a fuck. So I remember going down to the gym. I would sit down with John. John never had heat with me. I didn't have heat with him. Me and him sat in the office. We talked it all out. I explained why I left. He understood it completely. We talked about it in the future, and he said at any time, if I wanted to train, I can go down there. If I want to come back, I can always come back. Like, I was family. And back in PWU, they wouldn't even give that same, offer to Sabian when he left. Like, he showed up to the gym with me to train one day at the arena, and they said he couldn't train at the gym, and that's what started the heat with him and Cashmere. Cashmere became a little bitch and wanted to fucking put it on someone else, saying, like, look, you're not allowed to train here. It wasn't me, blah, blah, but it was really him. He wanted to be a little fag and fucking put it on someone else, and from then on, that's when fucking Nell just hates this fucking guy. Fucking hates him. Because of that one incident, and then after that, it just seen him for what he was. So, after I had my negotiations, and the thing that happened between Ricky and Todd, that's when I went back to CZW. And then, of course, you saw what happened to PWU after that. It folded, what, how
They
many
were
shows
gone.
after?
They were
Not
gone
long.
from the arena shortly
Yeah,
thereafter. It was a quick death, pretty
yeah,
much.
yeah.
Also, during your time at PWU, ICP was there. They did that whole angle with them, with the clowns. So, any memories of having them around?
Uh, Not really. Like, I mean, they were there. I mean, shook hands with them. So I'm not a fucking ICP fan. I hate their fucking music. But I mean, they were nice. They were very respectable. I mean, they were cool, and you know, I was. I mean, that's it. I know, no like experiences I had with them. I mean, I got to, with got to know like Too Tough Tony and stuff. I got to actually work him at Gung Ho, and
Oh
I
wow,
worked with
gung
Corporal
ho
Robinson.
reference.
Yeah, I
Nice.
worked with Corporal Robinson down in IWA Deep South. Like what PW did was it introduced me to more people, and I got to work with a lot of these people. And I mean, it was fun for what it was, but it wasn't a permanent thing. It wasn't a permanent stay.
Okay, so PWU is going down, and you're out. And you talked to John. You negotiated your return to CZW, and you make your return in July of 2007 at Best of the Best.
Hmm.
Of course, you go on to become Best of the Best champion. Um, you faced Drake in the first round, Reyes, Vortex, Tornado in the second round, and you faced B-Boy in the finals. First off, your first round match with Drake was really memorable. What do you remember about that match? And do you think could you tell at the time that he was going to go on to become the success he is today?
Oh yeah, even when I first met the guy, and the first time I ever watched him was him and JC. It was a death match, and they had no shoes on.
Mm-hmm.
And right then I knew the dude was a star. Went to IWA, met him, and right away, like the dude is phenomenal. Like, you know, can wrestle. He's one of the few deathmatch guys that can put on a wrestling match. He went in, and the thing, the one thing that really like warms me up when I have another worker that I watch and I admire my work, and he is one of the guys that does that, and I was just like, wow, this guy. I mean, it feels so good. Like I'd rather get somewhat recognition from the locker room than from the fans themselves. Like, because they know, like we talked about before on the ride here on what it takes to get to that point. They suffered the same. They went through the same bullshit. They've worked for promoters and didn't get paid dick. And it's just it means more to me coming from them than it does from the fans. So, you know, stating that, it's like, when Drake came up to me and he was just like, real, at all about my match with Chris Cash and my death matches. I mean, right away I knew he will be a success, especially to how he is now. And going into that match, that the guy was all for just wrestling. And when I came to Best of the Best, I didn't want to win Best of the Best. Like, I wanted nothing to really do. I wanted to be in the tournament, but I'd rather be selected to be in the tournament. And that's how it ended up being. Like, I was picked, but originally Sabian was supposed to win it, and he had the broken jaw
That's right.
at the time, and it went to me, and I really didn't feel as I was ready to win that tournament. But as we're going along, me and Drake, fucking awesome match. Definitely be on this DVD. You know, I had a blast working with him, and I love working in a tournament atmosphere because it's just now my fucking creative thing just comes in. It's just bang, 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 and it's just like I'm in the mode where I should be in. And going into that, it was so much fun. It was such a great experience working with Tornado, Ricky. I mean, I've worked with Ricky in Canada. I've worked with Ricky numerous times before. That was easy. We're both the same type of people. Working with Tornado, I would love to work with Tornado again in the future. Hopefully, fat ass, you make it happen. And then in the finals, when it came to me and B-Boy, I mean, he was already hurt. The match, I mean, I wish it would go longer. Like, I could see it being an epic 30-minute match. But, despite of what happened, like, the dude was already hurt. I mean, I capitalized on that in the match. And, I mean, I wish it would have went longer as expected, but it went the way it did, and we finally got to work with each other again before I left with, I think it was me and Ruckus. versus him and Derek Frazier, which I had fun with. And me and B-Boy, I mean, we always, when we see each other, it's, always the same. Like, we're pretty close. And, like, back to best of best, it was just a great experience. I remember at the end, people didn't know is Zandig wanted Blackout to turn on me again for like the fucking third time, but a lot of us wanted to change that because we wanted the tournament to be the tournament. We didn't want any type of angle to be involved with it in any way, shape, or form. And I mean, it was the first time I've ever had to play backstage politics, and all of us went into it as just stopping John at his tracks. We're like, no, we're not going to do it. It's just, no. It just let it be, like, let the tournament be the tournament. That's it. Don't drag it. Don't do anything with it. Just, win it. That's it. And, good thing it did. But, back to best of the best. It was a great experience. I, didn't want to win it at all.
Was it an honor to win it though? I mean,
It is. It is. Like, when I look at best of the best, like Trent Acid, when he won it, when he won it, it was a shockwave through the Indies. Like, he was best of the best. You know what I mean? Like, at that time, he was the fucking epitome of best of the best. And then the tournaments after that, they just got better and better. And then now, like this past one, it kind of went back to how it kind of used to be, but at the same time, it just didn't seem the same, didn't have the same atmosphere. And of course, Fat Ass drags at another fucking hour afterwards, which wasn't needed, and it killed it. But it was.
and
It is
by fat ass you mean?
you know.
Oh, okay.
But best of the best, just win it. It was an honor to be selected to win it, especially it came from John. But it was a great experience, but I really didn't want to win it. I mean, I thought it could go to someone else. I mean, I had a great experience. I had fun. I got to work with, Drake in a singles match in the arena. I got to work with Tornado at the end and B-Boy. So, good times.
B-Boy's kind of been subject of a little bit of controversy lately. Do you have any opinions on B-Boy outside of, in the ring work? Any thoughts on, I guess, maybe kind of like the recent falling out with him and CZW?
The thing is, I don't know the details of him and CZW. Like, I don't know, because I don't pay attention to shit. Like, what I hear is what I hear, and it's just like he said, she said. It's all it is.
Right.
I don't have a problem with B-Boy. I mean, I don't know how he does business. Everyone that I talk to have nothing but somewhat good things to say about him. Then you got the select few that have bad things to say about him. I mean, he's never done anything to me. He's never screwed me over once. Never gave me the idea of him being a fucking jerk off. I mean, only thing I could say about him is I always say it to him in his face, like, dude needs to hit the fucking gym for the style you wrestle. You need to fucking at least look the part of how you wrestle. But hey, he's a fucking great wrestler. I get along with him. Like I said, we're close. I mean, I really don't know, the whole, issue with him in Combat Zone. I mean, I heard the fact that, DJ gets out there and it's something with, B-Boy and his flight, and, him and my wife chat on Facebook, and there was something wrong with his flight that he stated on Facebook in their conversation, and apparently DJ goes out there and says that he didn't feel like doing the show. You go with one thing and then you want to go fucking lie and say something else, which I think is a dick move, but like I said, it's between them.
Okay. You round out 07 with CZW. January of 08, faced Brain Damage in a 20-minute Iron Man match with some deathmatch elements. Any memories of that match with Brain Damage?
I would love to do it one more time, and he feels the same fucking way. When we went in this match, all I could think about is old ECW, Taz and Bam Bam Bigelow. That's all I could think of. I wanted to brawl around the outside like I always wanted to when I was, a big mark and watching ECW. He had the respect knowing that I don't do any deathmatch things and wanted to take the brunt of it. I was willing to take my share with the first spot with the thumbtack bat. He didn't hit me in the head. He hit me in the fucking hand. That fucking hurt. But then when I took it, I said fuck it and just nailed him with it. We went along. We had great chemistry working. The finish, I kind of wish. I mean, I look back. I would change it, but him taking the belt was only because I was leaving. That's how it went to be. And I mean, I was glad that it was him to take it. And I mean, it was a great match. I loved it. It was one of my best experiences in the business. And like I said, I hope to do it again.
Okay, and that was your last match in CZW for a while. It was another deployment, but aside from CZW, you've obviously worked a lot of other places. One of those places you've had a lot of work is Chikara. Um, what are your thoughts on wrestling for Chikara and Mike Quackenbush?
I love Chikara. Like, I remember, working for Chikara before it became what it is now when they ran that little building out in, what's the fucking place called? Emmaus. So I love the locker room. I love the guys, very respectable guys. Quackenbush, the same thing. I have nothing really bad to say about Quack. Just I wish to go back to work for Chikara if he has a spot for me. He gave me some great opportunities. I've been lucky enough to train with him. I've learned all my lucha libre from him and Skyda. Uh, I mean, I like I said, I'd love to go back.
You did Tag World Grand Prix the one year. You teamed with Necro, and you guys wore the costumes, Colt Cabunny and CP Monk. What are your any thoughts on that? Was that fun, or was that
Oh
like,
no, it was a lot of fun,
yeah?
especially tag with Necro. I was just like, holy shit, like, you know what I mean? I got to, really work with Necro, and remember our first match was supposed to wrestle those two guys that
From
are
Ring of
from the Ring of
Honor,
Honor dojo. Yeah,
Turner
and
and Franco.
I mean, Quack wanted us to fuck him up. Like he wanted that. Like apparently they were too cocky, some bullshit, along the lines, and I was kind of used as the guy that would teach someone a lesson. Like that was my kind of reputation. If you guys already didn't know, like I was, I go in there and, as much as I dish shit out, I take it back. I'm not. It's not one sided with me. It's if you're gonna fucking hit me, you know what I mean. I'm gonna hit you back. If you're gonna hit me harder, I'm gonna hit you the same amount. Like some guys have tested me and I've knocked out guys. I mean, it's how the business is with me. And we were, remember, paired up with them to fuck them up. And I remember going into it thinking, in there to kind of hurt some kids or put some, make it a little tighter. But they were very respectful in the beginning with me and Necro. I mean, they were willing to take whatever. And the match turned out the way it did. Then later on that night, got to wrestle, Sabian and Kingston, and I had a great fucking time doing it. I mean, it was that I'd say it's just another one of those memorable times, especially with the bunny suit, which was like kind of like a pain in the ass. But I remember not wanting to wear the face paint because I knew it was gonna come off with the head on. It was very hot in the suit, but still, it was such a great experience.
You also did King of Trios one year for them. You, Black G's, and Ruckus versus Team TNA, Sanjay, Saban, and Shelley. Any thoughts on that
I
matchup?
remember going into this match. I think I was doing PWU that same day, and driving, meeting up with the other guys and heading out to Chikara and calling this match, whatnot. And I remember doing the opening with Sabe, and we worked so well together for the first time. Like we were just like spot on, and it was another great experience that I had working with uh, the group of guys that we were with that I thought is to being elite. Um, I mean, it was a great match. I liked it. I had a great time doing it. The ring, of course, kind of sucked as the low ring, but overall, I'd say like the memorable just time is just working with them guys and being offered, or just being granted the opportunity from Mike Quackenbush to have a match like that.
Okay, you also spent time in Canada with both IWS and UWA. First off, IWS and Montreal. Any memories of working up there?
Which one was
You
that?
wrestled Boyer, Max, and Hardcore Ninjas. They were the ones with Beef Wellington, PCP Manny ran the company.
Yeah, yeah. Well, any opportunity again, Canada. I love Canada. I mean, the fans are just amazing, like just amazing. They respect and they appreciate everything you do. Uh, First time I was up there with Max, and I've wanted to work with Max as he reminded me a lot about Dynamite Kid and Benoit, which are two of my favorite wrestlers in the world. And Yeah, I look at the match. It's like I didn't go into this match my full potential at the time. I mean, I had such a long drive, little sleep getting there.
Hmm.
It just didn't. I don't know. It just wasn't me, and I would love to do that match over again. And then the second time I was working with Hardcore Ninjas, which are not the greatest fucking guys in the world. And we, like I said, we were guests. We, kind of molded our way or worked our way to, in a way, their level. It wasn't the greatest match me and Eddie ever had. But, it's always great experience. The guys are very respectable. I mean, like I said, I've nothing really, anything bad to say about my experiences in Canada. I loved it. Such a great opportunity and great experience I've had. I mean, I had some great matches in Canada, which hopefully a lot of you guys will see on this DVD. But, I mean, just overall, I love the fans in Canada and the promotions I've worked for. I mean, so much respect. UWA, I mean,
UWA in Ontario, you had some matches with Asylum, Derek Wild, Ring Crew Express, Up in Smoke. Any memories of those
oh
matches?
man, it's every time I work for UWA, like, UWA is how a wrestling promotion should be ran. Like the way the brothers ran it. I mean, they respected everyone. When they brought big names in, it wasn't for the sake of, them working one guy or whatever. It was for the best of the company, and that's what it was. The fans are it was like having a wrestling show in the middle of a fucking mosh pit of like a Five Finger Death Punch concert. Like it was fucking amazing. It's so surreal. I remember being told stories about him from Ruckus and Sabian, then finally going out there and witnessing for myself. The guys gave me great opportunities. Ring Crew Express, great fucking match. I had a real good time with them. Same thing with Up in Smoke when we got to wrestle them. It was my last IWA appearance, and I remember wrestling in front of Sua from at the time he was with Noah doing his last U.S. tour, and then he was with part of the original members of Crazy Max, and he's one of my favorites as well. And I remember doing a tribute for him, hitting his elbow from the ropes, the pullover elbow, and having a picture with him. And he liked what he saw. I had a lot of fun with fucking Cheech and Cloudy. I remember that little fucker Cloudy slapping the shit out of me. So he probably thought like, I'm gonna get this one strike in. So it was a pretty hard slap, which I didn't expect from him. But then I fucking let him eat a guardrail. But you know, some of the matches were alright. The latter match we had with Derek Wild and Asylum was, you know, it was what it was. I mean, it's just two different guys, working with, and I in the past worked both of them singles matches, had fun with them, but then when I went with the ladders and stuff, it just didn't seem natural. Then working with the Olsen twins at UWA is fun. One of my favorite memories of working at UWA was actually having dinner after show and sitting at the same table as Ultimo Dragon, which was like, such a surreal experience. And we were at a Chinese food restaurant, and of course, the only black guy on our table orders fucking fried chicken and actually makes Ultimo kind of laugh about it. But I mean, I've had some great experiences. I mean, the people there, I mean, the fans just hand you weed from the fucking Overgaro, which is awesome. I mean, I'm not a smoker, but it's just one of those places. It was fun to work.
You also worked down at a couple times for IW Deep South down in Alabama. You had some matches with the Tomasellis, Ian and Corp, amongst others. Any memories of working for those crowds down in Alabama?
Anywhere outside of Philly is, like I said, like early on. If you can get over the Philly fans, you can get over anywhere. And then people down there, when they watch your stuff and they see you appear, you're a fucking instant superstar. And working with IWA Deep South, like the first time I was with the Tomasellis, we have great chemistry together. I think they're one of the top fucking tag teams in the Indies, like underrated in my opinion. Just a great group of guys. Eddie had history with them before, known him throughout working IWA, and then Mid South, and then with me in there, like we clicked right away, had great matches. The memorable things about IWA Deep South, like the road trips, like the guys I drove with, and the first time it was me, Eddie, fucking Hollow Wicked, Bryce, and Sweeney. And just the trip down, I mean, you know what I mean? The company of these guys, like Larry, always put a smile on your face no matter what. Like, you can just go down looking at this trip as being fucking miserable. It was 10 plus hours. I mean, maybe about 12, 14,
Yeah.
but it was just so fun. I mean, when we went down the first time, it was right after the match I had with Super Dragon Necro. And Necro is fucking. I mean, the dude hits hard, and it was probably because he's legally fucking blind and can't, has no depth perception. But he rocked my jaw, and I remember I couldn't eat for the life of me to open my mouth. I remember taking perks with me to, take the pain away. And when we went down for the first time, we stopped in Georgia and worked for a promotion that Tank is from, I
Mm-hmm.
believe. And it was a quick stop. It was me and Eddie working this one tag team. It was everything on the fly. I remember that night going to a bar, and I just took my perks. And with me, it's like I have a tolerance level. Like it starts to get acclimated to it, and I had to take two to finally just loosen up and eat. And I didn't think about it at the time. I remember drinking, and we sat at this bar and sitting outside of this like outdoor bar. Me, Sweeney, and we're just shooting the shit. I remember getting another round with Sweeney and standing up, and remember had no control over my fucking legs, being wide awake, no control, and having him walk me to the bar to get the rounds and whatnot. And then we finally made it to Deep South, did the show and the drive back. But my best times was probably going down there. The rides was with having the honor and privilege of riding with Larry Sweeney. I mean, it's a shame of the circumstances. I mean, what happened, but I mean, just the trip itself with those guys that we became very close. And like I said, like Sweeney would just make any dull moment a fucking happy moment. I remember second trip down too is when we worked with Ian and Corp, and it was such a good time. We're in a swimming pool at the hotel that I guess Quack was staying at, and I dove in. I think I was coming out of the water. I think Bryson Sweeney called me the Cambodian walrus. That's just how I came out of the water, but it's stuck with ever since. But those were like my memories going down to Deep South. With the fans were fucking great. I would
Old
love to go
school.
back again. Old school. I would love to go back again if possible. But right now I'm not. I don't have the same drive as I did before. Like
It's a
I'm
long car
married.
ride
Yeah, and
at
I
this
don't want to deal with
stage.
that again. But my best experiences with those promotions is definitely the car ride. Like,
Hmm.
they're the experiences that stick out the
And
most.
then another promotion you worked for that had a long car ride and great opportunities for you was, of course, Ian Rotten's IWA Mid South. You
Yeah.
worked a lot for Ian. Um, some of your big matches: Eddie Kingston, Davey Richards, AJ Styles, Akuma. You did the Candido Cup tag team tournament. You did the Double Death tournament. What are some memories from IWA? Some of your favorite matches?
I remember getting work from Ian, IWA. I didn't think I would ever get work with Ian because of the whole, Nell and Jimmy Jacobs issue. Because Jimmy Jacobs was one of Ian's guys, and the whole ass grabbing thing. I mean, that was heat right away, instant. I mean, you'll get more details when you see the best of the Indies, Black G's edition. But I remember not thinking I'd get work there. And when I finally got work there, going down, I remember the first trip, it was for 1 year TPI. Me and Eddie Kingston were a surprise tag team. It was us and Ricochet versus the Tomasellis. We weren't supposed to be known to be down there, but we were down there anyway on the same shitty fucking hotel, which the first floor of this hotel, people actually lived in. Like, they had kitchens and shit. You could smell food and little fucking kids in diapers running around. We all had a floor to ourselves. And we were there for 2 days, wrestled the second night in a non-tournament type match, and it was a fun time. I remember getting my first payday and just like, what the fuck, but it's all part of the business. Then I was getting more work for me in there, and I was getting flown in, which was fucking awesome. My one memory is I think I was getting picked up at the airport, and Necro is a flight behind me, and we're standing at the bottom of the escalators. Me, was it Jim Fannin, and we're waiting for Necro, and his flight just came in, and last we heard was he was getting his bag, and as he's coming down the escalator, his bag wasn't a fucking one of those little luggage bags with the handles and the wheels. No, it was a plastic shopping bag with his jean shorts wrapped in it, and he had to stop to get a new bag because the old bag had a hole in it. So we go to the show, and whatnot, and that's one memory. And I remember the one show, it was me and Ricky. I don't know if we were tagging or doing two separate matches, but we got to travel with fucking Ricky Morton, And
That was Candido Cup.
it's a great, I mean, just sitting and talking with this guy, it's like, wow, you know what I mean? And then I had car rides with Scorpio and fucking just, hearing stories of the old, New Japan days when he was in the dojo, when he graduated, did the shows there, learning a lot from him. Uh, Same thing with Tracy Smothers. My favorite match I had was, I mean, it. I looked at IWA actually like it showcased my potential as a legitimate wrestler in the business. Like I got to work, great match with Davey Richards. I had an amazing match with Akuma. I had a fucking amazing match with AJ Styles, which I didn't think was gonna happen. I thought honestly the dude was gonna come back as a fucking douchebag, because I heard other stories. But when that guy came in, dude, mad respect, mad love to fucking AJ Styles. Like the guy is like straight on point. Like I had such a great fucking time working with him. Uh, the tag matches I had there, the tournament matches I had. I mean, I've worked with CJ Otis twice. I had great time with CJ Otis. I got to work with Brent Albright. I got to be at two fucking decent tournaments with IWA. I mean, when it comes to Ian, I have nothing bad to say about him. I mean, it's whatever has happened, like the shit he's in now with people. I mean, I didn't witness any of it. Like you can only hear, rumors and stories and shit. But it's kind of ironic with guys like from Bull Payne and Pondo, and you got Mickey
Mickey.
Knuckles and all those guys that have been loyal to him for so many years. All of a sudden now, fucking just hate this fucking guy and just straight up kill him if they see him. I mean, that's like it's between that. I have nothing nothing really bad to say about Ian. He's never crossed me over. I mean, when you work at IWA, you don't expect much money at all. I mean, the guy gave me some great opportunities, like a lot of the promoters that I praise, and I mean, that's that. I mean, I have nothing bad to say about him. What has happened between him and his loyalist at one point, it's behind closed doors. I mean, we can all assume, but he's never screwed me over in any way. I mean, he's given me some great fucking opportunities, and some opportunities I missed. Like one weekend, I was supposed to wrestle Roderick Strong on a Friday night and Low Key on a Saturday night, but I couldn't make it because of military obligations. But I mean, the guy has given me some fucking amazing opportunities, allowed me to showcase my true talent, and I can thank him for that.
Okay. You also did in I think it was 2006. You did a WWE tryout at WXW's Allentown, I think, training school. Do you have any? What do you remember about that tryout?
When we worked for WXW, like we had such a good rapport with the WXW locker room and with the family. Like, I kind of joke and say that I'm like the adopted, son of Alpha. Like every time he watches, me and Nell work, he gets so revved up because it's so real to him, like how we do things and just our persona, how we sell in our offense, and we were very very honored to be invited to be one of the 10 that he chose to be viewed by the WWE, because at the time they wanted to establish a new territory out here, but out in where they're at in Allentown. So there's 10 guys chosen, and we were honored to be one of the 10. So we were told that to be here around like 9 a.m. sharp, and then start the tryout. When we showed up, it wasn't just the 10 of us. It was a shitload of people. Like a lot of these people heard and they paid their way to get in. We didn't have to pay shit, like as we were the 10 that were chosen. But other people got the news and they paid their $500 to be there, all in gimmick and shit. I was there in workout clothes. Like that's what me and Nellen. And when we showed up and we saw everyone in gear, we didn't bring our gear. We didn't want to do it. We're just like, nah, it's we're not gonna do it. And I remember, fuck, what's his name? It's not.
WWE guy name?
No, it's not off. It's a shame I fucking forgot his name. Samu.
Mm-hmm.
He talked us into staying, so we end up staying. When the tryouts happened, they had 2 lines, 2 rings, or whatever, and the first was like simple drills, and then we were like close to the back of the line, watching everyone do these drills, and they looked like hammered shit. Like, you know, thanks to our lucha background with Quackenbush and Skida, like it paid off. Like it really paid off. And out of we were close to being the few athletic guys there. And a lot of guys had looks, they're all jacked the fuck up, all roided up. We were just, two small guys. And I had no aspirations of being in the WWE, believe it or not. I just wanted to go to Japan, only because I wanted to prove myself that, you know, I'm good and just to go to Japan. It's just a proving ground to me personally, not anything else. And the one good thing about it, at least with this trial, was if we were selected, we'd get a nice developmental contract. All we do is train and wrestle every weekend and get paid, and that sounded pretty decent. So we did the first drill, and then did a 30-second promo, which Nell basically did the whole fucking promo. I just stood there like a jackass, and then we had a 5-minute match, and we worked. I guess this tag team from OVW. The one guy at the time was dating Beth Phoenix, but they're like midgets in a way. It's just how they look. And I remember them blowing a spot, and we just killed them. I remember giving the one a fucking belly to back suplex, and Johnny Ace just cringing when he saw it. Like, I got him to get a response to a belly to back suplex. Like, it was all Benoit style, and then fucking, I mean, that's what I could say about that experience that I had. I mean, it was an honorable opportunity to be selected by Alpha and Samu to be there, because we sat with Alpha and he picked us and he told us about it, on basically a meeting between us three. But the experience was great. Of course, I didn't get picked, but just one of those things I could say I've done.
Okay. So we pick back up on our timeline here from the end of 2008 through most of 2009. You were back in the military. Did you have a different role this time?
Now I went with a striker brigade. I was now in the infantry. I went to school, and then I went to Warriors Leaders Course, graduated that, and then this deployment came. I had to slowly, break off from wrestling again. My role, I had more responsibilities. I was in charge of a team, but the mission was still kind of the same. It was just, a presence thing. A lot of things have changed. I went in with experience, at least. I had a team of guys that looked up to me. I had more responsibility. I went in just more level-headed, and it just, it was a good and bad, and it was on our free time. All we did was work out, and I just worried about my physical health, and at one point then I was benching 365. I mean, I was fucking jacked. But it's all you could do is just your free time was work out, and then your mission times you went and did cache searches, you did a traffic control point, or you did a fucking patrol, and that was it.
Lot less like
a lot less. Nothing really happened. We hit 2
tension.
IEDs. We lost one guy due to an injury, but
that a lot easier, kind of, if that makes sense. So eventually you come back in late 2009, and instead of going right into wrestling, you kind of go into MMA and you start training, I guess, pretty heavily in MMA. Is that right?
Yeah, like when I came back, I wanted nothing to do with wrestling. I wanted to be done. Like, I just, it's just, I just hate, just how the business is, like backstage politics and everything, and it's not what I kind of portrayed it to be. And then going into MMA was just another, is an interest I had. And when I first went into it, I just fell in love with, jiu-jitsu, and I stuck with that more than I did MMA. And I'd say within, 4 months of it, and I was training 4 hours a day, every day, except weekends. And I did my first grappling tournament. I cut weight. I went down to 174, and I took second place. I mean, I was pretty dominant. My last round, I fucked up. I was winning by points, and I got caught in an arm bar. And I didn't think about rolling out, and I, tapped, and took second with just 4 months in, which was, fucking awesome. Then I just stuck with it more. I just really trained and trained and trained. Then and then when wrestling came into play, it was because, there was an angle that was supposed to happen, and it involved Sabian and Ruckus. And I said if the angle was going to happen, then I would do it for the angle. But when the angle ends, I'm done. Like, I'm just done. Like, I can't do these both things at one time. Because at one time, after my first deployment, I got into Muay Thai, and I started that. I did that for 6 months straight. And what made me stop was I was wrestling at the same time. I remember a WXW show. My mindset was on fighting. And I remember we did a brawl on the outside, and without thinking and without hesitation, I put Drew Blood in a clinch, and I kneed him right in the face and knocked him out cold. And then that's when I knew I had to make a choice. And since wrestling was picking up, I went with wrestling. At this time, it was only because of an angle, and then it changed. And with fucking fat ass, he likes to take advantage of a lot of situations. Like, he assumes things. Okay.
Well,
So
let me cut you off real quick because before you did come back full time, in that time you were away, Zandig, who you looked up to and had a lot of respect for, and a guy who had a lot of respect for you, sold the company to DJ
yeah.
Hyde. What were your thoughts when you heard that DJ
Well,
bought the
how
company?
it played out was once I flew home. Okay, and first person I saw was my wife, of course, and then my wife now, she's my fiance then. I was at Fort Dix for a little bit to do demobilizations and I had to do the fucking checkups and all that shit. I called DJ because I heard the rumors and I talked to him formally. He asked me to come back. I said no. I didn't want to come back. I told him I was done with wrestling. That's it. And then he kept coming up with this bullshit. You know, because we used to travel a lot. Like DJ was our driver, and we would sit in the car. And if we sat in the car with me and Nell, you'd learn so much about the business, how to fucking carry yourself, just etiquette, everything. You know what I mean? And this fucking dickhead, like, it'll go in one ear, out the other. Like, the guy got banned from his car locker room because of the fucking shit talk and bullshit he was in. You know what I mean? He got banned out of the fucking locker room. Everywhere he goes, he's a fucking douche. So he stated, like, oh, since we always talked about, and what we would do if we were running the company, blah blah blah. This is the time now. And I said no. I was like no. So then finding out that John sold the company was like a shock, but at the same time it wasn't. Like, John wasn't into it towards the end. Like, he had a lot of personal shit going on, and he was slowly just breaking away from it. I got home. I joined Rocco's mixed martial arts. Got heavily into jiu-jitsu. Then when this angle thing happened, that's when I came back, and it changed. Then I'm like, you know what? I came back in the business to have fun. I don't work for anywhere else. I'm just here to have fun. I just got tired of the bullshit, and I want to focus on something else. So, it is what it is now, and it's the result of it. Right now, training with, Rocco, I haven't trained in a while since work has taken pretty much a lot of time from me, and then also I'm in the midst of, landing in my career with law enforcement, so I'm focused on that and hopefully start a family in a year. Then I will go back into, jiu-jitsu full-time and compete again. Last tournament I did Naga, and I cut down to 154 pounds. And that was around November Cage of Death time period. That's when I really got cut. And I'm more of aware of my body and physique now and performance. So I cut down and I moved up a division. I went to beginners instead of novice, which I should have did novice, but I did beginners, which is guys for a year to 2 years experience. So I was grappling with guys, have more experience than I do. And my first match, I was up by points. I made a rookie fucking mistake. I didn't see a sweep coming. I got swept over. The guy didn't want to try and finish me because he probably thought that I would, reverse it on him right away. Held on to me in the mount, got the points, and that was it. And it pissed me off because I still look back at it. I look at the positions I was in. There's like 100 different things I could have done, but I didn't do it. I was just in the moment. I panicked, and I fucked up. But at least some things you learn from, and I can't wait to go back into it and be kind of done with this. But right now, I'm only in it to have fun, and that's all I want to do. Like, I'm not trying to make it anywhere. I would love to go to Japan just to prove myself, like I said before, and to experience it. And to have some decent matches. Like, I hope to one day get to wrestle, Low-Key and Homicide. I mean, there's some matches I'd like to do, but, I mean, time now is cutting short. So
Yeah. Well, you came back this most recent time in the summer of 2010. You joined up this time with Black G's as Philly's Most Wanted. You guys did the tag team tournament for the titles. You had some pretty good matches throughout that tournament with Tyler Veritas and Adam Cole. Also a match with Irish Drive-By, and then you beat the Portal at Cage of Death. Any of those matches stand out to you?
they all do. They all stand out to me. There's like, we got to work with teams that want to work. So and that's all that matters. Like, we want to win. We all have some, like, we have like creativity like out the ass, and they all stood out to me, and they were all fun. The tournament was awesome. You know,
You also had actually your second month back. You had actually a really great match, a four-way. You, Sammy, Johnny Gargano, and Chuck Taylor. That match stand out to you at all?
oh, it did stand out to me. Like Sammy stood out to me because I heard, I didn't know who Sammy was. Like, I just know his name being in CZW and the Switchblade conspiracy and whatnot, and I just heard rumors about the guy, how he was, and they were not settling, I would say, but they were just rumors, and that's how I looked at it. And the first time I ever worked with him, a lot of respect towards the guy. Like, it was a fun match. I know Chuck Taylor from IWA, so we've always wanted to work each other. Gargano, I knew nothing about. I just did quick research on him, and seeing what he does, what's his arsenal, and who he has worked for. But I I was shocked with how Sammy Callahan was. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Sammy. And that dude will go a long way. I mean, the guy's on fire right now.
He's a hard worker. And of course, since Cage of Death, you've been in the program with the Briscoes. What's that been like working with them?
Oh, it's been fucking great. Like, it's really been great. Only problem I see out of this whole thing, like, because we've just been wrestling with the Briscoes. Like, the one problem I have with this whole program is there's no other tag team being looked at in comments on. Like, we're the only two tag teams. Like, there's no one being built up. Like my question is, what's going to happen after this? That's my question. When they first got booked to work us, dickhead, fat ass, didn't know how to ignite, the flame to have us keep going. Like, he didn't know. Like, when I show up to shows, I just want to show up, be an actor, an athlete. That's it. Okay? I don't want to go in having to be a fucking actor. All right? An actor, an athlete, a fucking lawyer. Okay? A playwright. Okay? A director. All right? I don't want any of that. You tell me what you want. I will give you what you want. I will give the people what they want. Okay? I'm here to perform and have fun. Okay? I work 100%. I don't fucking half-ass shit. And when something goes bad, I get fucking mad and I beat myself up about it. Okay? And with this, it was just the beginning was a fucking headache because it was just like, fat ass is just, the guy bought the company. Okay? He bought the company. And to me, how I look at the company now, it's not the same. I don't like it. The guy has done things that John hasn't done. He incorporated other things. But at the same fucking time, though, working with these companies, I feel as though they're going to take advantage of him. DJ's reputation within the locker rooms and shit of other places, it's the same reputation he has now. So,
So his reputation really didn't change by buying the company.
It hasn't changed. And with, the marks, what they think about him, like what you guys think about him, is no different from what we think about him, okay? Like, we do what is written. We do what is told. That's just how it is, all right? So you can blame us, whatever. We're just filling in the blanks between A and B. That's it. You know what I mean? But between, how the company's run and how he wants it done, it's just like, it's just not the same. I wish John was still back. I wish a lot of the key people like Mike Burns and everything's back. I look at it as like if you're not ready to run a company, then don't fucking get into it. You could have maybe just start your own small company and just done the same thing. But no, instead he buys this company that I believed in for so long, and then I just see it how it is now and just seeing the changes. And some of the changes are good, but a lot of them are fucking bad. And it's just, I'm in it to have fun, so I don't want to pay attention to it. I don't want it to piss me off. I don't want to be bitter about anything. But it just hurts to see a company that I've worked so hard in to get approval from guys in the locker room, to get fucking accepted from the veterans in that locker room, to now being what it is today. Like, I show up now, I sit in my fucking corner. I shake hands with everyone first, and then I sit in my corner, and I want nothing to do with it. I look at the sheet. I don't even talk to fucking DJ. Okay? It's just, what's up? That's it. And then afterwards, how was it? And then that's all I get. I can't sit down with him. I can't talk with him. Because it's the same thing. It's in one ear, out the other. All I want to do is punch him right in the fucking mouth every fucking time. So I try not to just sit down and interact with him. That's just how it is. It's our relationship right now. I'm just in it to have fun. That's it. I just do what I'm told.
2010, also tough year as far as deaths go. two people you have experience or kind of go back with. Trent Acid and J.C. Bailey both passed away. Your thoughts on hearing about them?
It, I mean, it's unfortunate with, you know, with the loss of them two, but to me, it's just how I am. It was just like, in a way, no surprise. I mean, we everyone knew how their lifestyle was. Okay, I mean, we knew, and it was just a matter of time. And you can only say so much to people with these guys. You can only tell them so much, and they're not going to like, listen. They know themselves better than everyone else. I mean, the whole thing with JC. I mean, yeah, it wasn't. Apparently with the autopsy, it wasn't drug related, but we knew he partied a lot. I mean, I remember when he just got out of jail. Okay, just got out of jail and showed up at CZW and saw me, and it was just like handshake, hugs and shit. Good to see you, everything like that. Because I mean, we go back, and he tells me he just got out of jail. I was happy for him. They cut his sentence down. A month later, he repeats the same thing again. And I remember telling him, I was like, dude, you told me last month. And he's like, oh, my bad, man. I forgot. But I mean, you know what I mean? It's one of the things. And Trent, the same thing. Like, I looked up to Trent and remember him telling me to kind of relax. Like, before matches, I always get butterflies, even to this day. And he told me to just relax, go out there and have fun. That's it. And he's always had respect to me, and I've always had respect to him. It's unfortunate of what happened, how it happened, but it wasn't a surprise to me. I mean, I had some great memories. I have some great matches I can remember that he's had. I mean, the guy was like the god of that building after ECW left. Like, he was CZW, believe it or not. I mean, everyone came to see him, and it sucked, but it was no surprise. It did hit home because now it came to a point where, like, people are just dropping like flies, and it's all the bullshit that they do on their personal life, and it sucks, but it hit more because it was guys that I know. Like, I wouldn't expect any of these guys to die, and then the last one was Sweeney, and that honestly hit me hard because it wasn't it just it's not one of them things where you kind of like you're not surprised by it. Like, I was just in total shock of just him passing away. 'Cause it wasn't like he was doing drugs and whatnot outside of wrestling, even during wrestling. But it was just one of the things I didn't expect to see, and it really hit home because I mean, he was a guy that always put a smile on my face whenever I saw him. Like, the nicest fucking guy ever. After shows, he'd sit with the fans and he'd want to get their input and joke with them and everything. He was just the nicest fucking guy, and for him to to lose his life the way it happened, it hurt. It hurt bad. I mean, even the other two, it really hurt bad, and it was really because it was guys that I know, and it just was so close to home. And hopefully, what has happened, it plays a key role on making people change their lifestyle. And I mean, it's what it is. It's just it's sad to say. Like, you just have to kind of look at that and just go, all right, I got to slow the fuck down. I mean, there's a lot of guys that party. I mean, with DJ stating this wellness policy bullshit, it's a fucking joke. I mean, we all know guys prior to shows. I mean, there's fucking guys, you got your potheads, you got guys that drink and shit. Come on, I mean, what the fuck? And then stating, what was the lie he said? He didn't know who was not doing drugs. Gage. Like, how the fuck do you not know? It's like the guy at one point was so fucking high. I mean, the guy was skinny as shit, getting sick in his stomach, throwing up before fucking matches and shit.
And after.
And it's like, how do you not know? And then you want to state the fact that you didn't know he was doing drugs. I mean, the guy robbing a bank. Okay, I mean, in my opinion, I'd rather kill somebody than rob a bank, because at least I would have 100 alibis. Robbing a bank and you being caught, there's no alibi for, unless you were forced somehow to fucking rob a bank. But I mean, the guy had to be in such a low place in order to do that, and it's a shame. And the kind of the funny thing is, when I found out and saw it, my first reaction, I laughed about, because I was like, I can't believe Nikki robbed the fucking bank. It was just so surreal, and it's kind of funny, honestly, because he robbed the bank. Like, we didn't think that. None of us saw it coming, but none of us knew how his home life was for him to do something like that. You know what I mean? I mean, you can only do so much for guys if they want help. Okay, they'll seek help. Okay, like me and Nikki. I mean, we always ever since I came back to CZW, he's always told me it's good to have me back. Even when I wasn't back and I would show up to shows just to see how the guys are, he would always ask me to come back. But the fact of dickhead saying he didn't know he was using drugs and shit, and this whole wellness policy bullshit is a bunch of shit. That's what it is. Like, you can only do so much for some of these guys. If they want help, they'll ask for it or they'll seek it out. But at least hold some type of fucking ground or grow some balls and just state what you want and what you don't want. And then you won't have these things happen. I hope not to have another loss with someone that I know in the business, like the losses I've had with, Cash and Sweeney and fucking, Trent and Bailey. I hope to not have that again until, I get out of the business. I hope to not ever have it again afterwards. I don't want to get a call or see a fucking email or get these people to just fucking, hey, did you hear this? Or call me. Like, some of the people that call me, I don't want to fucking talk to. Because I don't really know you from shit. You're not close to me, so don't fucking call me about it. I will get my information from guys closer to me. But I hope to not see that ever again. I mean, it's just a bad thing in the business, but it's been in the business for so fucking long. And I hope guys would learn from, the deaths of these other guys that recently just passed and just take it and fucking learn from it and not do the same thing.
Steroids, approve, disapprove? Have you used them?
I've dabbed on the juice. I mean, you'll see it with my match with Akuma. Like, I was fucking huge. I mean, I approve in it. It's one of them arguments that you can go both ways, and I look at it as a choice. Like the guys with drugs, it's a choice. You want to smoke fucking weed before matches? Hey, you deal with the repercussions. Every fucking action you do, every choice you make, there's always a repercussion, good or bad. And if I go bald or some shit, or if my nuts never fucking grow again, it's something I had to deal with. So I mean, it all depends. I mean, I did research on it, and it's something I wanted to do, and I think that it will propel me in the business, and that's why I did it the time I did it. Afterwards, I ballooned up like crazy, but it was just one of them things that just it happens. But I've done them. I mean, there's a lot of people that do them. There's a lot of people that think about fucking doing them. There's a lot of people that ask me about doing them. But what I can do, hey, it's your choice. That's all I gotta say. It's your choice. I mean, supplements now. I mean, as of fucking January of 2009, it was January of 2010. They've banned certain supplements because of two ingredients that the FDA has now called anabolic steroids. And I've taken one of those supplements during my deployment, and it's what got me to bench at 365, and it's what got me huge. And I mean, that's how I look at it. It's choice, and I find the benefits of it. And there are some, downfalls to it, but it's just how you do it.
The guy who you're partner with right now, Black Cheese Sabian, he's a pretty controversial figure in and around the indies. Got a lot of, I mean, he's obviously a very talented wrestler, and he's also got a lot of heat with a lot of promoters. Talk about him both as a person and as a worker and a partner.
The Black Cheese, what you see is what you get. He's not going to hold back. The guy can work his ass off. This whole new thing about the fans hating him, like Mark's fucking hating him. Hey, that's what he wants. He's doing his job. He wants you to hate him. I mean, it's funny how these people, like, they threaten him, and they take offense to what he does and everything like that, and they talk this mad shit. But after the show, these same people in the parking lot, and he's out there in the parking lot, and you don't say dick to him. Don't say shit to him. All this bullshit you write on the fucking boards or whatever, wherever you post, yeah, I see it here and there. It gets sent to me, but you don't say shit to him. And it's easily to spot you guys because you guys just sit there with your mouth fucking shut and your eyes are on him. Now, granted, he's a small guy. Yeah, I mean, look at his physique and shit. There's no fucking, bullshit about him juicing at one point, but the guy takes care of his body. He's very serious about the business. He's fucking, he holds etiquette to, like, high standard. He instills that with guys in the locker room, okay? I mean, he's not afraid to let shit go. He won't hold back. Promoters just they're uncomfortable with him. They think he's somewhat of like a loose cannon. He's not able to control, but he is who he is. He's no different from just anyone else. But he's not afraid to voice his opinion. I mean, the guy has a lot of respect. If you go up to him and talk to him, he'll talk to you. He doesn't look down on people right away, okay? But what, he praises on, hey, he's doing his job. He's a fucking heel. That's it. He'll do whatever he can to be a fucking heel. You hate it or not. At one time, a lot of people thought the business was real and fucking hated guys. They didn't care. They loved it because they did their job. But, I mean, if you have something to really say about him or you want to fucking hit him, do something, do it. I mean, there's an opportunity every fucking time. Go say something to him. Go up to him. You know what I mean? If you guys want to bang it out, man, he'll be more than happy to bang it out. I mean, it's just, it's funny. Like, the not booking, save, stop booking. I mean, it's hilarious, and he finds it very funny. But as a worker, the guy's fucking talented. He's fucking great. He has a great fucking mind for the business. He had some great matches out in Italy and shit. Worked Ultimo Dragon. Worked a lot of guys in that caliber. I mean, a lot of people don't know that. But a Combat Zone, that's his persona. What you see is what you get.
Recently, there was the wrestler from Ohio who came out that he had AIDS. He'd been wrestling with AIDS. We also know there's some wrestlers who have. There's the guy from Ohio. What was his name?
Don't know. I haven't heard that either.
Yeah.
You really didn't hear this? Oh, he's wrestled Sammy 100 times, Moxley, Dave Christ, or Jake. I'm not sure which Christ. But just came out. He just got arrested for. I don't know exactly what it was, but it came out.
Involuntary manslaughter, I guess.
Well, I don't know exactly what it was, but somehow they found out he's had AIDS and he's been wrestling with it.
How long?
I don't know the exact details, but I mean, he's just one guy, and then there's also the guys, X-Pac, and a couple others who are rumored to have hepatitis C, and they wrestle and sometimes bleed.
Oh, go! I remember.
I mean, well, okay, go ahead.
I remember. Back to hepatitis C. I had a hepatitis C scare. Like it was last year. I got a call with the VA because they had to take blood work and stuff, and all these appointments, all these shots and everything, and I had to get evaluated like mentally and make sure I'm okay and stable. Surprising enough, I am. I mean, my rehabilitation is through violence. I play violent video games. I watch violent movies. It doesn't affect me, and I've seen a lot of nasty, gory shit up close and personal. And I had the hepatitis C scare. I got a call, and they said that, that I have hepatitis C, and it fucking hit me. It was like someone telling me I had, like, terminal fucking cancer. I had AIDS. So, yeah, it made me cry and shit, and having to explain that to my wife and then tell my mother-in-law that I had it. But then they said that I had to come back and do blood work. And all I could think of is how I would get it is from, I mean, I've bled with John Zandig. I've bled with Gage. I've bled with Toby. I've bled with all those
You
guys.
basically
I bled with
you bleed with one, you bled with them all.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all I could think. I remember making a call to Nell and be like, look, whatever you do, don't fucking gig anymore. You make sure everything's fucking clean. Like, you gotta be fucking safe because a lot of these fucking guys, and all it takes is one guy to have it, and that's it. And I mean, that's all I could think of is where I would have it. And I did the test again. I got my results a week later. I don't have it. It was either because I have too many of these antibodies from these hepatitis shots that I was getting for the Army, or they got the blood mixed up with someone else. But thank God to this day that I don't have it, don't have anything. I've been fortunate enough to not have anything. But for the other guys, I mean, it's by choice. I mean, they know the threats are out there like I did, and we did it anyway. I mean, it's shitty that this fucking piece of shit had AIDS and wanted to go out and wrestle. I mean, I'd fucking take a bat and kill that motherfucker, to tell you the truth. And especially if he knew about it the whole time and kept it from everyone. I mean, but that's just how some of the guys are. I mean, you just don't know. I mean, I would love for guys to be tested for shit prior to matches and shit, but of course that will cost money, and a lot of promotions don't have the money to fork up for it.
Do you think that should be a priority? Like,
I really think it should be.
Yeah.
For guys that
like tournament of death.
Yeah, for guys that do this for a living, okay? The guys that fucking, this is their bread and butter. I mean, it's basically for them, and it's for everyone else. Like, I think they should test, honestly. Like, I mean, it's almost like, how the fuck do you go into just work and just, like, carries some shit or fucking, just it just doesn't sit right. I mean, it's something that should be done. I would love for it to be done. I mean, it would have everyone sleep better thinking that they've done this match and there's no real big repercussion besides stitches and shit like that. But nothing like it's nothing like getting a call where they tell you it's a possibility that you have this. Like when I was told that shit fucking hit me, dude. Like it scared the fuck out of me because it was now like, fuck, I can't do this, I can't do that, I have this, I don't know what's gonna happen to me for the rest of my life. Like I would like to start a family. Like how is that gonna affect me? It was a scary thing.
Johnny Cashmere recently came out of the closet, although I guess some people knew it all along. Any thoughts on sharing a locker room with gay wrestlers or wrestling?
The world has changed to the point now, especially the U.S., to where now you got talking gays in the military and shit like that. There's pros and cons to it in the locker room. I mean, I've probably been in the locker room with people that are gay or half gay. Okay, I mean it doesn't bother me as long as you don't, I guess, try to force it to me or anything. Then we're fine. But I mean, hey, I mean, there's so many stories of guys that swing both ways anyway. I mean, you don't know. It's one of those things. And Cashmere came out the fucking closet. Good for him. I don't give a fuck. Fuck him. Like, I don't care.
Any other places that you've now? I mean, I know you want to go to Japan, and I'm sure you'd like to go to Germany with CZW maybe in the fall. Are there any other companies you'd like to work for? Ring of Honor, Evolve, Dragon Gate?
I mean, a lot of those places are proving grounds. Like, yeah, I would like to work for any of them, but at this time now, I don't know if I'm able to or have that interest anymore. Not as much as I did, years ago. I would love to like go to Japan because it's always been a dream. I would love to go to Mexico. I will always want to go back to Canada. But I mean, a lot of those other companies, it's one of those things. Like if I was invited to do it, yeah, I would do it. Like, I would go work there.
So, and again, aside from Japan, any goals? Do you have any goals left in wrestling, or is it just I'm gonna keep going while I'm having fun? Or
All I want to do is just make a name for myself within the locker rooms as one of the most respected and just all around great wrestlers. Like I've been a fan and still am a fan of a lot of guys like Liger, Benoit, Malenko, Eddie, Dynamite Kid. I mean, I just want to be held to a position like that, and like right now, it's one of those things like I want it and I don't. Like, I mean, I'm in it now just to have fun. That's all I want to do. I've been doing this since I was 15 years old, and it's something I've wanted to do. A goal, like, I've wanted to wrestle for ECW. That was a goal when I was a kid, and I became very close. Like, I got to wrestle in the ECW arena. I got to be a pro wrestler, so no one could take that from me. Like, it was something I wanted to do, and I've done it. I made it further and farther than anybody that where I started in the gym, in the Hawkins gym, made. I've made it farther than a lot of them, and that's one thing I can always, appreciate and honor. But right now, it's, if the opportunity presents itself, yeah. But I'm in the midst right now of my career, and I mean, I gotta think of my, personal life at home first.
all right, we'll just bust out a few quick word associations, real short answers. Ruckus.
I mean, what can I say? It's a ruckus. You know what I mean? I love the guy. You know, also great times with him. I mean, fucking great. Potential. I'd like to see more of him in Combat Zone.
Kingston.
Fucking amazing at everything he does. Guy that I'll have his back till fucking to the grave. Brother to me. I wish him well at everything he does, and hopefully he makes it big. Hopefully.
Robbie Marino.
Great fucking mouthpiece. Awesome gimmick. Awesome on the mic.
Devin Moore.
Very underrated. My opinion of him, he's the American junior heavyweight. He is like, basically like the flying Brian Pillman and the 1-2-3 kid. Like, the guy is good at what he does.
Drew Gulak.
Another one, a fucking great student of the business. Very, very respectable. Um, I mean, a lot of potential. Hopefully, I see him go go further.
Maven Bentley.
Uh, Maven, Maven. I mean, he's the guy that is holding CZW together, in my opinion.
Mike Burns.
Uh, Fucking awesome guy. Uh, did a lot of, good things for me. I have nothing but the utmost respect for Mike Burns, especially allowing me to do this. It's something I heard that they want to do for a while, and if they have interest, and here I am now, wanting to get it done. Is I wanted people to see what I've done and what I'm capable of doing, and he saw that from the beginning, and I will always, always thank him and have him in such high regard.
Barack Obama.
Okay, it's Barack.
All right. What else? Anything you'd like to say to your fans? Anything we didn't touch on? Anything else you want to say?
I have stated before. I'm just, I like what I do. I've done it since I was 15 years old. It's my passion and dream at the time. I'm at the point in my life now. I'm comfortable with what I do now. I'll never half-ass anything. Everyone has their opinion. I do this for myself and for you guys because I've been in the same shoes as you guys. I've sat shows, I've watched. Everyone can critique and say what they want to say. I mean, after shows, you just want to sit, chit-chat, bullshit, whatever. Hey, I'm all for it. I appreciate everything you guys do. CZW fans, you guys are some die-hard fucking fans. Respect to you all. It's almost like a love-hate relationship. So, but I can't, deny the fact that you guys are passionate fans and basically hold Philly down. I hope to have some great matches before I'm finally done. But, we'll see.
All right, Joker. Thank you.
Hey, no problem. Thanks.